Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 20th Town Council meeting for Bladensburg, Maryland. We are now called to order. The first item on tonight's agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember McBride. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any comments or questions regarding the agenda? I'll just note, because we have the fire department leadership with us, and sometimes they get pulled away on emergencies, if we can just move their item up to the top of their section. I'm looking for it. Item I believe it is. So if we can make that A, so in case the radio goes off, Chief and President, we don't want to hold you up. So is that amenable to the council? All right, so with that change, I'll now call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. I'll note Councilmember Dixon is en route, and we will need to vote to excuse Councilmember Blunt from tonight's meetings as well. So with that, I'll continue on with the approval of minutes for the September 8th council work session. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions to the agenda, or edits, I mean? I'll just note on the second page, under informational memo, this is regarding the strategic plan. Where is it? It was with respect to recommendations regarding an external consultant specifically for the strategic plan, and just thought it would be important to note the fact that it wasn't budgeted for this year and that we agreed to assess that in FY 2027. I don't want residents to think we discussed no action. And then under item F for approval of meeting date, I think it's important to note that the meeting was moved due to the MML Fall Conference under item F. And that was it. But council, are you okay with those two edits to the minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Next on the agenda, we have some unfinished business that we need to discuss, and it is related to, as former council member Mendoza used to say, the fat cats. No, just teasing, the police department. So I will turn it over to the town administrator and the acting police chief to take us through ordinance 07-2026.
Oh my goodness, this is super loud now. May I switch with you? Thank you. So, ordinance 007 for 2026 and A and B, they've been split up into two separate ordinances because when the town attorney actually took a look at them, she determined they needed to be in two separate portions of the town code. So it's the same information, but split up into two sub-ordinances to address that. What we are trying to do is to amend the town code to, one, allow us to charge for some fees and fines that weren't in the code. So one of them is a return check fee, a booting fee, and there is also the collection fee, because of the fact that when things go to collections, the ability to pay the collection agency up to the state maximum for collections. So those are the main changes. The other portions change the motor vehicles, and so they allow us to stay current with the changes that the chief mentioned last time regarding when state law changes about those fines and fees, that we update them. And so those are that's the main gist of what we're doing with these two ordinances, is one, updating for general fees, and then the other half to update for in the motor vehicle 112, section 112. I didn't open them, but that's just, I wanted to give a high-level observation.
Sure, and with the second one noted, ordinance 07-2026B, it does say institute flag release and boot immobilization fees. and to conform to current practice with respect to when the payment of fines and administrative fees are due. But Acting Chief Frischkorn, want to give you a chance in case you want to add anything to this. We discussed it last time, but if there's anything you'd like to add.
No, I'm just in agreement with keeping up with the current law and adding any amendments that brings us in compliance with it. I know fees change all the time, and we don't want to be behind on anything. We want to keep current on it.
Mayor, I'm sorry that you guys can't hear me at all on the recording. I think everything I said was not on the recording because this one doesn't work. So I want to make sure that if you wanted to repeat that for the record. Thank you.
Do you want to give another recap of ordinance 07-2026 A and B?
Sure, Mayor, Council. So these two ordinances will modify, and I hope that people can hear me. These two ordinances modify the town code, one for general fees and the secondary for fees that are coming out of motor vehicles. And so that, as you mentioned, subsection B is vehicles and trucks, amendment of 112-11, and the other one is just the general fees. And what the town attorney did give us some direction on moving forward is that we can now just amend our fees with a simple resolution. So we don't have to do the ordinances once these are fixed. So as we change the fees moving forward, they can just be updated by resolution. So now that they've been fixed in the code, we would just adopt a new resolution anytime we need to change or update or modernize these fees. I didn't say that in the last one, and so I'm adding it because I forgot about that important point. So there you go.
Great, thank you. Sorry, thank you for the additional clarification, Town Administrator. Any other comments or questions from staff before we move forward? Tonight, really, the goal is the second reading of the ordinances, and that will be done formally in the 7 o'clock meeting. All right, so next we will move on to financial business, and actually, we don't have any items there tonight. So we'll continue on with new business. Is your, does that?
Yeah.
Okay. So item 5 says adjournment, but I don't think that's right. I was thinking maybe, no worries.
Oh, yeah,
All
that
right.
is true.
Yeah,
So-
we're done. We can
Yeah,
go
you're not
home.
adjourned.
Good night. All right, so now that we're under new business, I want to jump into what I mentioned as we were attempting to approve the agenda. The council action is needed regarding approval of a funding request for ambulance staffing stipend, for the Bladensburg Volunteer Fire Department. And so with that, Town Administrator, did you want to say anything before I invite the chief to come up and speak, and President Katz?
Just a brief intro for the council, and I'll make it very brief. So what you're going to be hearing tonight, and please, Chief, if you'd like to come up to the podium, I'm going to hand off to you in less than a minute. So what tonight we're talking about is a new program that the fire department has brought to us in regards to ambulance, trying to address some of the ambulance issues and helping volunteers to be more available for the services. Over the last year, Mayor, you and myself have been meeting with the county in regards to, kind of augmenting our services and helping the fire department, as well as some of the strains that have been put on our response times. This offers us an opportunity as an initial proposal, and I'm asking council to have this as a first reading of this. And so I'm not asking you tonight to make a necessarily decision. Actually, I'd like you to take a month, and we'll bring it back in November so that we can take, if there's any questions that come up on it, you can do that. But this gives you an opportunity to kind of see some proposals. The fire department has brought us 2 different options, and I'm recommending a kind of a hybrid of the lower cost option for you. And then the only other thing that I'd really want you to know is that the one benefit of maybe taking this on is that with the new tax differential program, the county is incentivizing towns to invest in their volunteer fire departments, and then that would mean that in some ways that our residents would get a tax differential deferral of a couple cents on their taxes for everything that we add to our program. So I think it could be money well spent if the council would approve it, because we would get a differential. We currently do not qualify for a differential because they've changed the threshold for differentials to $50,000 or more. So I just wanted to kind of give you that information as we are looking at the differential process.
So I saw our treasurer's face, as you said, they're not giving us that differential, but I will come back to you, Mr. Tonelli. Chief Sumner, we'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members, and to the town staff. Thank you for allowing me to speak for a few minutes here tonight. I'm here to discuss a proposal that will strengthen our emergency medical coverage for Bladensburg. It is called the Ambulance Shift Stipend Program. Like many volunteer fire departments in Prince George's County, we are facing growing challenges with weekday staffing. Most of our volunteers work full-time jobs or attend school, which make it difficult to guarantee an ambulance crew during daytime hours. When this happens, our 911 calls are often handled by neighboring departments, which just delays patient care and puts extra strain on the system. The Ambulance Shift Stipend Program is a practical, cost-effective solution to that problem. It provides the modest hourly stipend of 2 members, a driver and an aide, to staff our ambulance Monday through Friday from the hours of 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. This ensures that we have guaranteed crew availability during the hours when volunteer turnout is at its lowest. We have built this program with strong accountability and oversight. Each shift will be documented. All patient care reports must be completed, and every stipend form requires an officer verification before payment. It is fully a transparent system with checks and balances at every step. We are asking for the town's financial partnership to help us implement this program. As the town administrator mentioned, there are 2 different proposals. The first one is for 2 people at $15 an hour, which would equal out to about $1,200 per week, $4,800 per month, or $62,400 per year. The second is 2 people at $20 an hour, which would equal $1,600 per week, or $6,400 per month, or $83,200 per year. Again, this will be a closely monitored program done by myself and the president, and we will have full transparency with the town, in which we will provide any and all documentation that is needed. The city of Greenbelt has already entered into a program similar to this with the Greenbelt Volunteer Fire Department and with the Berwyn Heights Volunteer Fire Department, and have seen some success with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Do you know about how long those programs have been running?
Greenbelt started theirs right after the staffing issue last summer. About 2 or 3 months afterwards, they started doing that.
Okay. Thank you. Any comments or questions from the council? I think the big thing is what happens if we don't act, and you address that in terms of the response times being delayed and then the uncertainty with staffing. So it seems like logical, to help provide some stability for your team for the staffing, and so you can be there for the residents more consistently.
I appreciate that, ma'am. And again, it's not that we're paying the volunteers. This is an incentive. It would be a stipend. Everybody understands that. And it would actually be cheaper than actually hiring staff to provide the service on the ambulance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Chief Sumner. I know Town Administrator mentioned you want us to review this, come back ready to make a decision in November, which is great because then all 5 of us will be here so we can all weigh in. But I don't anticipate any issues with this. Councilmember Brown?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Chief. I think, this is, this is great, and we can applaud Greenbelt and Berwyn Heights for what they're doing. And then also, just looking at what other municipalities that benefit from those services as well.
Yes, ma'am.
To participate in this if we decide to move forward. But then I guess my other concern is that our budget, our budget for this year, and with our budget constraints and with us not being able to even give our staff COLAs and things of that nature, while this is great, I don't know that it would be able to be considered for this fiscal year because of the budget constraints that we currently have. But then, like you said, Mayor, and having a conversation and stuff with the rest of the full council, but that sort of town administrator came on, right?
Yeah, so Mayor, Council, so what I would suggest is that this could be expensed through through the we can't call it speed cameras, and automated traffic enforcement. And also because we are using less automated traffic enforcement for our public works because of HUR revenues. We see that we could do a shift from public works, because public works uses we buy the LED LED stop signs and things like that. So we're shifting those. So what the proposal would be is that shifting some of the costs that we've already allocated for public works to HUR, which is highway user revenues, and then allowing us to fund this through those same allocated revenues for that share that we're going to use for automated traffic enforcement would allow us to kind of help both, and then help residents with their tax differential for the coming year.
And that tax differential piece is a key component, which is why I noted the treasurer's face, because it's frustrating that we keep having to go back year after year. You keep having to appeal to get more credits for the residents, and so it definitely would help in terms of the credit they would get for funding the fire department to just help on their taxes for those who are homeowners. But Mr. Tonelli, anything you wanted to add there? And then I want to go to Acting Chief Frischkorn.
Michelle told me, explained it best, the county wants locals that more skin in the game. And that's pretty much what it is in order to get the full tax differential. They want to see more local support to volunteers.
It's pretty straightforward, yeah. Acting Chief Frischkorn.
I think anything we can do to enhance public safety, especially with the police and fire department. We're talking about response times and assisting other agencies as well if we have the personnel available. I think it's a good idea if we can find the funding for it.
And specifically want to ask, because it would come out of your department as far as the traffic enforcement fund. So definitely appreciate you weighing in. And then other notes that I had jotted down too was just if we as a council could talk to our counterparts in other communities and ask them to support it.
Right,
Maybe we pay $15 an hour and someone else can subsidize the difference to get us to 20, because you all, Chief Sumner and President Katz, you're servicing a great area. And we are grateful to help and support, but we also want to encourage our counterparts who benefit from the wonderful service to put in their fair share.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yep. And we have a board member on PGCMA here who could bring that up to our members who are, in that region. Because, I just rattled off a few close by, but you guys go beyond this area. But Cheverly, Comar Manor, Cottage City, Riverdale, University Park, there's so many. But I understand you go outside the Beltway too. But even if we just concentrate on the core area and get people to help, I feel like we should be able to do this for you. So we'll bring you back in November if that's okay.
That is fine, ma'am.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you,
Thank
council.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, so we'll jump back into the order that we have here and move to item A, which is the review of final legislative priorities report for the 2026 session.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this is the legislative priorities proposal, or actually the report that we produced last year. I'm proud to say that we've done a new one for you. I have Mr. Brown on the line from LA Perez and Associates. The one thing about this report, it's really helpful for us when we go out to see the legislators and bring them this report, because it gives them information about the town, what our needs are, and where we stand. What I'd like to do is, if the council has any other additions or questions to it over the next couple weeks, that we would then finalize this. And then Mr. Brown and Mr. Perez will start to give this out to our delegation at our next meeting in November. They will be here to do an initial talk about what the legislation looks like that's been pre-filed, and give us that kind of opening the session thing. But Mr. Brown is online on Zoom for any questions that you may have. Mr. Brown, are you there? He is here. I can see him.
I am, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. We're just waiting. Oh, now you're on the screen. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Brown.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm a little jealous. Are you in your cyber truck?
I am. We got. I got to get you for a ride. You know, every time I try to get you in here, you run off on me. So,
I won't run off next time, but over to you for the legislative update.
so nothing in particular on the update. Just as always, Bladensburg front of the line, and this report is a great way to broker the conversation and get in front of legislators and have that open dialogue. So once it's finalized by the body, we'll look forward to kind of getting those kind of kicking off some of the conversations to make that the meeting that you host with them yearly impactful as we get ahead into legislative sessions. So.
And it looks like, I know in the past that we've tried to have that meeting in October. October has gone by in a blink. So we should coordinate with you to get a date together for the briefing with the legislators in November and host it here if possible, followed by the tour as we did last time. And Chief Sumner, you're welcome to join us. We can invite you as well because sometimes it helps to have, other folks at the table who are singing the same message. And when we have our county and state reps in particular, it gives you that face time with them to make your asks more directly than coming through us. So we'll make sure we loop you in there. And understanding we'll bring this back in November. One of the things, Mr. Brown, that is of concern is the annexation bill that was put in late. It didn't move last year. And so I did have the opportunity to let Delegate Harrison know I want to talk to her further, just give her some insights that she may want to consider if this is something that she and Delegate Tolles are looking to move forward. I just think they're doing it based on one scenario and not understanding how it can affect other communities and hinder their ability to advance their economic development. So if you could help find out more specifically if there are plans to move that forward so that by that November meeting we know, and then I can follow up to try to have a sit down with her and possibly Delegate Tolles too, just again to give some more perspectives from a different community than ones that they represent.
Absolutely, as usual, that's a very astute observation and definitely something that not really impactful, really not really good for any municipality, really, to be honest with you. So definitely something we can get the pulse on. So.
Yeah, and then as far as MML, we did approve our one state legislative priority, which is really around restructuring the tax revenue so that on the sales tax, there's a more robust calculation in there that helps municipalities out. So just flagging that in case you're able to get any sort of information in terms of what the state legislature is looking to do. And so we know how to build our argument or case to move that along and have a positive discussion on that as well.
Yeah, no, that was a priority last year and unfortunately didn't pass. But we definitely can re-energize that as well.
Perfect. Any comments or questions from the council regarding the priorities? I know we talked a little bit about them at the September meeting, but any additional questions or things that you believe we're missing? Again, I know we're bringing this back up in November, so no need to, okay, we don't have to drag it out. Okay, so we will revisit in November. We appreciate you taking the time to join us and for all the help that you've extended throughout the year. We absolutely enjoy working with you and your team and appreciate all the value you bring to our community.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll talk to you later.
All right, have a great evening. All right, now we can see Ms. Watson. We couldn't see you before, Madam Clerk. Now we can see you on the screen. So we're not talking to ourselves.
I took myself off on purpose. Look at me,
right.
just Jonathan.
Understood. So next up, we have item B under new business, which is the ordinance 08-2026. This is an ordinance to enact the fiscal year 2026 to 2027 budget process. And so for that, I'll turn it over to the town administrator and treasurer.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Actually, I'm going to let Mr. Tonelli take this on, but he's writing his last note, so I'm giving him a little bit of stretch time so that he can do this one. Yeah, you like that? Mr. Tonelli?
Okay, I'm gonna, first of all, I'm gonna try this mic, make sure everybody can see it inside, make sure you're reading it, it thumbs up. Okay, well, just in case, okay, so this is to formalize and codify the budget schedule for FY '27 budget. I can't believe we're talking about FY '27 already, we just started FY '26, but that's what we do. So, and you can see the dates on here. We start with a budget review in January at the January Mayor and Council meeting, and then we have our first public budget hearing that we're going to talk about the town council and town administration budgets at the February council meeting. And at the March 9th council meeting, mayor and council meeting, we're going to have an introduction of the complete FY '26 budget. And we have a couple budget dates in here for special budget review sessions on March 17th, April 2nd. We have the mayor and council meeting on April 13th, where we can read the first reading of the budget ordinance, or it's also listed on here, we can do it at the April 27th special council meeting, where we can read the budget ordinance then. And that is because the later you go, the more info that you have. We did a similar process this past year. And then we have another, and then, I'm sorry, on May 11th, we can adopt the proposed budget with the second reading, or as a backup, we can do it at the June 8th, 2026 meeting. So this way, it lists all dates, it sets up a timeline for everybody, and again, it's similar to what we did this past fiscal year.
I definitely appreciate the foresight again this year and really moving us ahead and having a lengthier budget planning process and getting us started sooner. For the first time since I've been on council, last year was the earliest where you started the conversation in November, bringing the timeline and process to us. So I think this is great. And it also gives us more flexibility if we have to adjust some of those later meetings. The one question I wanted to ask, and when things don't go well, right, we learn from them. And so I think that we do a great job of having work sessions, having the council meetings and moving the process forward. One of the things, if I'm being honest and look back at this past year, is we didn't do the best job conveying the information to the staff. Not every staff member goes home and watches the monthly meetings, as much as we wish that they did every second Monday or when we have to do third Monday, but they don't. And so I think that whether we repurpose one of these meetings, and once we get closer to the end and we know this is how things are settling, I think it could be helpful. So it's not all on the staff. You have the council there, and we just walk them through department by department. And if there's changes to benefits and all these other things, we can just be transparent with them in the process too, because it does affect our staff, and we don't want them feeling like an afterthought. So just food for thought there as far as something we could do to make the process better.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Vito looked at me then, he just threw me back under the bus. So, the one thing that we have initiated is a new newsletter, an internal newsletter that we have started to put in. So when we were going to talk today about the health insurance, I put that out to the staff saying, this is what's in the agenda, this is what we're going to be doing. So what we're going to now do for the month of November is that we're going to have the budget outline and the dates, but we're also going to start sharing the information as it comes out to the staff as it gets out to the council. So they'll actually, copies of those presentations will be available to staff as we are putting it out to the council in an email, so that they're getting it directly. So it's not just, oh my gosh, here, check on the website, you have to go 5 clicks. No, it's going to be 1 click. You'll get the information as it's being put together, because in the agenda, during those times when we're having those meetings with you, they're every 2 weeks. They change from week to week. And some of that portion, but I think especially from March to April, we have 4 to 5 meetings. So those meetings will be provided real time to staff, so that they have them when they're put in the agenda for you guys. It will be put out to staff, so they'll actually be able to see them. And then the other part is, you're right, having those in-person town halls. I'm excited to have the council there as well, where we're going to be able to sit down, talk about the information and go through it line by line.
Yeah, because oftentimes, I don't know that people understand that it's a very much collaborative process, and we're not approving a budget if we haven't talked with the department heads, gotten your feedback, offered our feedback before settling on these numbers. It's not done in a smoky back room somewhere, so, but again, just customer service is a goal, and that means as much as it's important to us externally, we have to have high customer service for our staff as well, so. Councilmember Brown?
Thanks, Mayor. And, yeah, I really like that suggestion, especially with the rest of the staff. So I think that's very good. It allows them to actually be a part of the process and see the process. Just like you said, sometimes it can be overwhelming and a whole lot, and with them trying to decipher. So, thank you. That's right, yeah, yes. But I thank you for, bringing it. That's a great idea.
Thank you. And then just one minor thing, on page 11, I think for the February 9th meeting, it should be first public meeting, or is that indeed supposed to be a hearing? Because that seems kind of early for a hearing.
It's a hearing, I think, because we have them on a council date. The 9th seems to coincide with the council date, but you're right. We call them hearings, and then the public meetings are the dates after. We can maybe change the nomenclature. But I think when they occur on a meeting date, we call them hearings because they're part of your agenda, and we do like an initial hearing issue.
Okay.
So I think that's how we titled them, but I think we can kind of fix that this year.
All right. And then, as we did last year, I would just ask the council to look at the dates in your 2026 calendar to make sure they don't conflict with anything that you have going on. For instance, April 2nd is a travel date for me, so I can take an early flight and be back here if we're meeting that evening, but just wanted to flag that was the only one that stood out to me. But I want to give the rest of the council the opportunity as well. All right.
And it's fluid. I mean, this just gets the process started, so, as we get closer, we can obviously add and subtract or replace.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. And next up, we have ordinance 09-2026 for a budget amendment. This money was actually in the FY 2025 budget and was not expended, so we need to do a budget amendment to bring that into the FY 2026 budget for the outfitting of some vehicles that the council approved in the last budget cycle. So with that, Acting Chief Frischkorn, anything you want to add here to tee this up for discussion?
Just those vehicles that we purchased have been sitting for a while, and that affects, morale of the police department, and also our fleet. Our fleet, as you know, is getting older, and we're having mechanical issues, so it'd be nice to have those vehicles available. We have them, they've been sitting there. Having vehicles sit for a while could also cause issues, so we'd like to get them out and distributed out.
Acting Chief Fishkorn, with some of the issue, the upfitter itself, I remember the chief was saying that they did not have capacity when we first got the vehicles, just so that we can kind of not make it the fact that, because the money was allocated, I just want to make sure that that was the issue as well, wasn't it?
I had contact with the outfitter, and I wasn't privy to the information from Chief Collington when he spoke with him, so I'm not sure what the actual issues are. I know that it takes time once they get their invoice approved. It takes time for them to order the equipment and then put it in, so it would still take some time, so that's why it's important to get this done.
All right, any questions or comments from the council on this matter? It is on the agenda for the 7 o'clock meeting. Given it's a financial matter, we will vote on it in the actual council meeting, not in the work session. Councilmember Brown?
Thank you. And so, and just making it clear, this funding was approved in the previous fiscal year, and we're moving it to the 2026 fiscal.
Yeah, so we do have to though make an official move from speed camera expenses, automated traffic to equipment for this year as a separate transaction. We can't just move it from last year to this year. So we have to move it again from the same source to the line item because, for this year's budget, because the end of the year ended and we could not put it in the previous year's fiscal budget. Does that make sense? So we couldn't put it as an expense. That was a 25 expense, so we had to, since it
Right,
didn't
it didn't,
happen.
right.
So I just want to make sure that's clear, because it's like, that's what the actual item says, even though we had money budgeted, we can't move it, we don't encumber and move funds for that long of a time with the way our budget works.
Okay.
Okay.
And for the audit purposes, Mr. Tinley, it's a clear, smooth
Yeah, and that's why
process.
we're doing it here, yeah, so, but, there's no, like, carryover funds, I mean, in budget-wise, you know, if you don't spend it that year's over, you know, we're now in the new year, so, didn't happen, so now we're making it happen physically and in the budget.
Okay.
And so the ordinance does read that we'll increase under transfer automated enforcement proceeds by $77,545 for the use of funds to upfit 4 police vehicles. And then number 2, increase capital expenses by $77,544 for the expenses associated with upfitting 4 police vehicles. So it indicates where it's coming from and then where it's going to be spent from. But thank you for that, and we look forward to seeing these vehicles on the road soon. Next is item D, ordinance 10-2026, fiscal year 2026 budget amendment related to MNC PPC FY26 project charge program. Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you.
The town was awarded $50,000 from Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Parks Department for project funds this year. We actually have never been allocated in the last few years. These funds are for services. It's not a grant, which is very interesting. It's actually a chargeback. So we have to contract for services and then pay for them, and then they give us a refund or reimbursement. Yeah, which is like a grant, but it's not a grant. So it's called Project Charge.
And they were very deliberate to keep saying in there, this is not a grant.
Right, so that's what I wanted to make sure that we don't call it a grant. So we are following the process to become a registered vendor, and we will submit items that we think fit in, which are community items that we're doing as far as programming that is related, but we cannot limit these programs to only Bladensburg residents. They have to be open to all Prince George's County residents. And they have to be recreational in nature or things that support the Parks and Recs mission. So I think that we have a lot of things that actually do that. So what we'll be doing is this year finding creative projects that actually fit that, and things that we are doing in ways to help us to, again, be able to do other things for our staff and things like that we've already committed funds for.
Yeah,
Long story
and
short.
not that this would be it, but from the meetings we had this summer to get ideas from residents, one of the things I threw out was enhancing the playground at the waterfront park and making it more of a port theme, building off the library. Not that we're going to do that, but just those kinds of ideas.
We can't do that one because it's their money, and
Yeah.
we can't do it on their property.
Yeah, that was the technicality.
That was the
Yep.
money, right.
But those kinds of things, if we have another park, we need
Exactly.
to
That
enhance,
we
like the
own.
Pocket Park.
Exactly.
That's a
Anything
great
that we own, we can
opportunity.
do. Yes.
Which could benefit from some new equipment and a green, what do you call it? The green charge, what is it? The green awning or shelter with the electrical charger there for the parents so they can charge their phones while the kids are playing. But anyway, I digress. This item is also on the 7 o'clock meeting agenda. Not that I've ever been in the park waiting on kids and needed to charge my phone. But anyway, so this is on the 7 o'clock meeting agenda, so we'll circle back to that. The next item is Resolution 03-2026. This is a resolution of support for Watershed Assistance Grant Program with Chesapeake Bay Trust for up to $100,000 for the design of watershed restoration projects in town. Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you.
So I'm working with both with Mike Claire from EcoSite and, so This is a grant, these are grant funds that I'm working both with Mike Claire from Eco Site and with Low Impact Development on putting together a grant application for the watershed restoration fund from the Chesapeake Bay Trust for up to $100,000. We might be in Track B, which might be for $75,000, but the two grants possibly are, they're only design projects, so would be designing another rain garden, which we already have 3 rain gardens that are in design, and only 2 of them that are actually in build process. One is at the fire department, which is going to be done in the next couple months, and the second one is is by 57th Avenue, which we will probably be funding the construction for, which is what I'm trying to work on with the highway user to use that there. It's not that we have an excess of highway user, it's just that we haven't used it as much of it because we've been getting a lot of CDBG funds. Not that I have a ton of money, but just for small projects, it is helping. So what we will do is that this resolution allows us to apply for funding, but the other part that I'm considering is putting together a watershed restoration project plan that will give us all the locations within town that we should seek out for rain gardens and other watershed projects, so that one, I can tell the council, here are the 15 projects, I would like to do project AC, A through B, whatever, and then we can put those together, which I think gives us a more comprehensive approach versus just kind of finding land and then doing a rain garden. So that's what we're probably leaning towards with the 2 development partners.
So speaking of finding land and coming up with projects, we were coming from an event, we were driving in separate cars. I think you remember I stopped on Upshur Street because, as Officer Reinhardt knows, when we get the heavy rains in our industrial park, Upshur Street is the fastest route to the river or to becoming a river. And there is some sort of water collection site there, but it's just highly inefficient. And so I don't know if we could do something there, but just thinking about how we help our businesses, because I just think about one of them when we had the 2020 flood and how he's an automotive shop and cars were flooded out. So just imagine if you left your vehicle with his body shop, and then you find out it's been flooded out. On top of the body damage, you're without a car. So just a thought,
Yeah, I
but I
appreciate
totally
it.
agree with a more comprehensive plan
appreciate it.
town-wide. But I'm thinking if we need something that's a priority and getting that going before next spring, that would be a really great area and have an immediate impact.
The only issue is that CBT only pays for green infrastructure and not for gray infrastructure. And we've had a struggle, and let me give the uncode that. So gray infrastructure is actually, let's say, storm drains and large large spaces. And green infrastructure are items like rain gardens and like more smaller projects. That particular site needs attention from gray infrastructure. And that's what we've been struggling with low impact development on, is trying to get someone to help us to fund gray infrastructure because nobody wants to fund that. And that's what the problem we have with the channel is, the Quincy Run and the channel that you'll see next month, is that's a lot of heavy gray infrastructure. And those funds are limited and because they're usually federal dollars. And so that's been our challenge with that particular site. But we are exploring a gray-green infrastructure with EM block that may help us to do some interim water catchment there.
And that's what I was thinking could be a compromise if you back it out, going toward quality elevator and doing some sort of rain garden on the opposite side from them that backs up to where all the weeds and everything are. Maybe that's an opportunity to redesign.
That's exactly what we would be
Okay.
looking at underneath this grant, is doing that, is trying to find a greenish, grayish solution. That's what we've been calling it.
Greenish, grayish solution. That is our technical term. No, just kidding. All right. Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the staff before we move on? Mr. Reinhardt, anything you want to add in there? I know you have to deal with the calls when we have the flooding too.
No, I do think that the green grayish project is going to be a very good project, especially for our businesses down in the industrial section, because as you say, it's the quickest route to the river. It actually becomes the river, so.
It becomes the Upshur River, which is really sad. Okay, so that takes care of item E. Next up is Resolution 04-2026, a resolution regarding CDBG PY 52 for support for application of funds. Before we turn it over to you, Town Administrator and Clerk Watson, I just have to say, you all, excuse my language, are killing the game with this money from CDBG. I was going back and preparing for this and looking at all the numbers, the project and program years that we've gotten, and it has been just consistent since both of you have been here. So I certainly want to express my appreciation for that. Knock on wood, let it continue. Definitely.
I was going to let Regime say amen, but amen.
Yeah, listen, I said definitely, absolutely. Amen.
The church says amen on that one. I'm not even a Baptist, but I will tell you that this is, I'm going to keep it simple. What we're applying for are repavement issues that we actually got when we had CPJ as our engineer. So we're resubmitting a set of plans that we've had for the last 3 years. So I just keep on resubmitting. If I don't get it funded on 1 year, I'll resubmit and say, I'd like again this year. And so that's what we're submitting. It's about a $300,000 package of road repavements. And actually, now that we've looked back, and I've been actually walking a lot of the streets, we've actually repaved, I would say, within the last few years, along with us and WSSC tearing up the roads, we've all repaved. We've repaved about 75 to 80% of our roads right now. So we're in a good space. So these are the last ones that need major repavements. And then we're going to go and do some small projects in between to sort of get us back to 100% so that you'll have a good 5-year span so that you're not behind on repavement. So I think that this is the last of our repavement sections, and we've done pretty much, and Ms. Watson, who's on the line, can tell you that we are looking at reprogramming some of our funds from this year for the rest of the sidewalk and curb repairs. And so that's it. We just need your support as we apply again.
Ms. Watson, did you want to add anything there?
No, I think Michelle covered it all. We are excited. PY 51 is going well. Me and Supervisor Hall have been working really hard with this company. We're about to put another RFP out. We definitely saved a lot of money with the way we're doing our procurement process now. So I'm happy that the town is getting a lot for the money that we're getting from CDBG.
Yeah, that is great. And I want to also commend you and Mr. Hall. You guys make a dynamic team working together on these projects and with the engineers. So thank you for all you guys are doing. This item is also on the 7 o'clock agenda. So if there are no other questions, I will move on to the next item, which is Resolution 05-2026, a resolution for declaring October 2025 as National Code Compliance and Code Enforcement Appreciation Month. Town Administrator?
You know, October is a special time of year. We have the opportunity to recognize our code enforcement team for the work that they're doing, and I don't think it comes around soon enough. So this resolution celebrates our code enforcement team and the National Code Compliance Month and how important code compliance is to maintaining our neighborhoods. And thank you, Mr. Reinhardt, and thank you to his team for updating our code most recently for the first time since since 1998, I think, but for now, right?
I'm sorry, can you say that year again?
I know.
What was it, Officer Reinhardt?
1998.
1998. Yeah. I don't think, I'd make fun of a staff member to say I don't think they were born yet, but that would then be ageism, and I'll say that's, but, yeah. Oh, you were not in kindergarten, Vito. I was like, we were both grown adults in 1998. That's the sad part. But anyways, yes, this is a good month. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. We certainly appreciate the efforts of Officer Reinhardt and his team, and just want to highlight 2 milestones for this year. One, the adoption of the new property maintenance code, and that was a doozy. That was a lot of work that went into that, and we certainly appreciate it, giving us more teeth in terms of holding people accountable for meeting those standards, and then also the initiation of the code enforcement software, modernizing the services, and transitioning operations into the electric age, bringing us out of the stone age. So, and that's on top of the day-to-day work. So we truly appreciate the work that you and the rest of the team do for the town. So thank you. So this will be voted on in the next meeting as well. So we'll keep moving on to Resolution 06-2026, a resolution for support of, for Economic Development Week. Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, happy Economic Development Week. Today is October 20th, 2025, and through the 24th, it is we celebrate this, why economic development is important. What I'm asking you guys to do now more is to start to recognize these weeks and months, especially because we've made an investment in an economic development manager, and in our we have our business roundtable that comes up this week. And so as part of those kinds of actions and activities, that's what these kind of resolutions do. And it also puts us in alignment with NEDA, which we have actually joined as a member. It doesn't cost any money, but it's something that we have become a part of so that we can further our economic development footprint. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry. There's a gentleman knocking at this back door. If someone could just tell him this is not an entrance. I don't want to just leave him standing there and staring at us. Sorry. We'll continue on with the next item on the agenda, which is the funding. Oh, sorry, we did the ambulance request already, so I'll keep flipping. Certification of the October 6, 2025 town elections. Madam Clerk, I will turn it over to you for this update.
Mayor, Town Council, I am happy to formally present the 2025 election results for your approval. We made so many improvements this year, and it was, with the Board of Supervisors of Election, Michelle and everybody just working together for us just to change and make the improvements that we needed with the ballot drop box, the absentee ballots, the voter outreach and engagement. I'm excited to see everything come together and to have a successful 2025 election. So in front of you today is the formal results, and in the 7 p.m. meeting, we will have some Board of Supervisors of Election members, including the Vice Chair, attend the meeting to formally present the results to the council. But I am excited. I'm happy to see that everything went well. We have couple of things that we're going to bring back in November, but pretty much everybody was happy and everything went successfully this year.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Thank you as well for all the hard work you put into working with the BOSOE to make this a successful election process for the board and just cleaning up processes. So we'll look forward to meeting the Board of Supervisors of Elections at the 7 o'clock meeting, and also expressing our gratitude to them, as well as voting to certify the election results. Next on the agenda, we have contract approval for a contract with Fleur de Lis. Sorry, my French is not great. An on-call commercial real estate advisory services group. And Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you, or is Mr. Hawkins on the line?
I was looking for Mr. Hawkins on the line. I don't see him, so I'll have to take over this one and the next one. But so what we've asked is that we actually put out this RFP, I would say back in February or January or February 2025, or was it actually in December 24, Ms. Watson?
I believe we started talking about it in December, but we put it out in February. I recall.
So
Yes.
we put it out quite a while ago. So the purpose of the item was that the town has been interested in some pieces of real estate, and it's not always advantageous for the town to approach landowners. So that's what we've looked at. We interviewed the owner and primary from Fleur de Lis. And we also interviewed a Mackenzie for the same the same contract. And Mr. Hawkins has made a recommendation for fleur-de-lis after the evaluation of the two that we've gotten. But we left it open for quite a while to make sure that we could get at least another application. And what this is that it's a on-demand contract, so they don't get paid until we have an item that we actually are going to go after. The initial contract was more for a contract for services, but we have changed it to just an as-needed. So if we are looking at a piece of property, they would represent us, and then we would pay the commission fee to that group. So if there's any other questions, I can answer them, but at this moment, we don't have any properties that we're looking at, but we will bring those to council in a closed session as that becomes available.
Thank you for that overview, Town Administrator. And I also appreciate the note about it being on demand, because that was the question that I had, because I saw the hourly rate and then the, pardon me, the monthly rate in there. So again, it's just based on as needed. If there's a property we're interested in and there's a sale, then that person would get the commission.
Correct.
Got it.
That's the structure of the deal.
Okay. Councilmember Brown?
Yes, thanks, thanks for this, and also, but there's also a $20,000 retainer fee?
That was, that was in her initial, it's no longer, she's not charging us a $20,000 retainer fee. That's the reason why it's sat for 6 months. Sorry. Can you not hear me? Can you hear me now?
There we go.
We are not agreeing to the retainer fee, and it is just it is only for the services, and then it is the commission, so that's it. So we will, the commission on the property, and we are not doing a retainer fee.
And then also with the $200 fee per hour, is there kind of like a weekly or something, NTE or something not to exceed weekly or monthly?
We are not-
Kind of be cost control with that, because I can see that. Like,
We are, let me, I'm sorry, let me. I will, you know what, I will ask to hold it, because that is the old contract that got attached and not the new one that we negotiated.
Okay.
So we had though all those terms are gone, but that was the original contract. We are not negotiating, it is just a fee simple term, and I can provide that to the council. So if you'd like to hold it again, we can, but that is not I didn't realize that the old contract was attached. So there is not a $20,000 fee. There is not a $200, so all those things were removed, and I thought that Jared had provided the updated contract terms, which is basically, it's a percentage of the sale only. And so that those terms are that was the original contract, that was her original offer to us, and that did not work for me, and so we told her that we needed a different contract, which is a traditional real estate contract. So that's why I didn't realize the old contract was there. I thought just her veto was attached and not the actual contract. So I will send you guys a new one, and it can go on next month. I'd like to start talking to people about properties, but I can wait another month. Okay.
Nope, that makes sense, yeah, because I was wondering the same
Yeah,
thing,
no.
which is why I was asking
No, I didn't
about
realize that was attached.
Yeah. No worries.
I will make sure that we update it. Okay.
Yep. And then, sticking in the same vein of economic development, we have approval for a contract. The recommendation is with JH Government Affairs. Do you want to walk us through that?
Yeah,
Town
I can walk you through
Administrator?
that one. Hopefully it's all correct. So this one is, so we went out in, I guess, and I have it in my thing. I would say that's probably closer to May of 2025 for a economic development proposal. And as part of that proposal, we interviewed 3, but got 8 respondents for it, 6 to 8 respondents for it. I remember that when we talked with the final 3, they were all very good. Since it's a contract for services, we interviewed the incumbent who worked in a different firm. Thank you. And we found that for their price and the fact that they were local, we're making a recommendation for JH Consulting for this particular project. The second The second price, the second one was in regards to, was, I believe it was Eighth Generation Consulting. It was the second lowest bidder. And LA Perez was the final bidder that we interviewed. So what we're doing is recommending JH Consulting. Jared Hawkins is the primary for JH Consulting, and he has been our economic development manager for the last 2 years. And this would finalize a contract with him for another 2 years with an extension.
And on the extension, it's optional for the third year, but it is built in that the town would have that. Are there any questions about the recommendation from staff? Councilmember Brown, did you have
I
a
do.
question?
Yeah. So, actually, because with JH Government Affairs, I guess with the person having worked for a previous company, and because when I look at the rates between their pricing model and then with LA Perez, with the 90 to 195, and then they're starting at 137.50. Up
There
to
was
20 to 25 hours per month. Why, and maybe really wanting to take a look at, from an economic development perspective, what has Jared done, for the town? And I don't want to say him or what that company has done, because he was working with that company and working with us for the past 2 years, for us to just say, okay, let's select
Yeah.
JH Government Affairs.
Yeah, it's a great question, Councilmember Brown. And so Jared, on a monthly basis, has been reaching out to our businesses and offering resources to them, which is something we don't always have capacity to do, helping us to continue the meetings in person or virtually with the business owners to engage them, because they pay a hefty amount of taxes. And so trying to
Yeah.
bring them along and make sure we're bringing in speakers from the county that are relevant to them. He was very instrumental in the annexation process. Last year, as you may recall, he was in all of those closed session meetings, consulting with us throughout that and giving us some wise counsel there. And he's also helping us to move the trade school project forward. So especially now with what's happening in the federal government, I wouldn't recommend bringing in someone new, especially as big of a project as that is, because now they're starting all over from ground zero, trying to develop a relationship with HUD for the reimbursements and the reporting and all that, and that is a hefty project. Of course, it's at the will of the council, but I think Jared has been doing a great job with us on the economic development, and want to see what more he can accomplish over these next couple of years as we actually try to get some projects moved to completion.
Thank you for that, Mayor.
Sure, absolutely.
And Councilwoman, to kind of talk about.
Your mic's not on.
Sorry. Councilwoman, the other part about it is that when we did the number of hours that were suggested for, the average number of hours that were suggested for the different vendors, even though from 90 to, that they offer from 90 to 195, the person that would be the primary on LA Perez would be closer to the 195, would be the expert level, and the $90 person would do very few of those hours. So when we did the cost analysis of the amount of time that we use Mr. Hawkins, we're currently getting, even though he has a flat fee of the $27.50, we use about 30 to 40 hours a month. If we were to do that and multiply it towards with some of the other vendors, we would be exceeding that $27.50 that we are actually paying with Mr. Hawkins. And to add into a little bit more of what he also has been working on is that anytime we have an economic development inquiry, he's the person that actually handles a lot of that information for us. And it's like, and from the standpoint of bringing him in to economic matters that are just like when we have, just even when somebody has a question about how to get permitting, he helps new businesses to get permitting with the Osprey development. He actually helped them to expedite their permitting because of his connections with Prince George's County, which made it a lot easier for them. And then they had an interface from the town that worked with them on those kind of projects. So we've actually had him to kind of take on more and more projects. And then he's also been developing some marketing in regards to our town in general. And I think that he has some really good set goals, and I'm hoping that once that we can, he's expecting another child this week. So I just want to, the reason probably he's not on this call is maybe that I know the baby was due. Yeah, he's on baby watch, so I'm actually thinking that that's the reason why I don't see him today. But he's been really good at following up with our businesses. But I want to say is that he's got a whole agenda of stuff to do. And as the mayor has kind of said, it's like over the last 2 years, I've really worked with him on a set amount of like tasks and things that we need done from him. And he's been really good at responding to those over the last 2 years. And I think he's grown a lot since we first started with him to now.
And it's helpful to have that familiar face too, because I'm thinking about the facade improvement funding and how with the one business owner in Ward 2, she was able to develop that relationship with him to get help with getting her paperwork and everything through to get the funding for that. So it takes the pressure off of our staff having him. And now that he's been with us a few years, getting to know the business owners and having that rapport on behalf of the town council. So with that, if there are no other questions, Councilmember
No, I just
McBride?
want to say, thank you for explaining that, Michelle, because I really had some concerns with that. And so, and now that you broken it down, and so when you work with somebody that is familiar, it's best, if they can go ahead and continue on. But I was checking the numbers.
Yeah, no, and I'm sorry that we didn't make that clear about the number of hours that he's doing for his stuff. I'm sorry that I wasn't clear about the number of hours in my overview, because I think that was really a big, it's that he's really not a person that says, Michelle, I'm at hour 25 or I'm at hour 30, I got to stop talking to you. He still talks to me.
That is so true. He'll take the call. He won't ignore your call, even if you're at hour 24.5. All right, so with that, again, it's on the 7 o'clock meeting agenda for council approval. Next, we're on item M for council action approval of the town administrator to fully execute a contract with Axon Enterprise, Inc. for TASER 10 units. So I'll turn it over to you and Acting Chief Frischkorn.
I know that you guys are tired of hearing from me, so I am going to let Acting Chief Fishcorn to give you an overview of this item. Acting Chief.
This item deals with purchases of TASER 10 weapons. All the police officers have TASERs. This is an upgrade to what we currently have. It's the price of the contract over 5 years is $141,178.14. There's a lot of benefits for us to have these TASERs. The contract includes virtual reality component that the officers can use, which helps liability for the town, because when we train the officers that way, they become more proficient with the TASERs. The VR can be used we do a lot of community engagement, so it can be used for the Citizen Academy, it can be used for the Explorers, can be used for community events. The technology, like many items, is evolving, and we want to have the officers with the best capabilities and most up-to-date TASERs that they have. There's a lot of benefits for this TASER over the other TASERs that we currently have, which is the TASER 7. And it allows for the department to adhere to the current law for scenario-based training. In Maryland law, there is a law in the public safety article that says that police officers have to engage in de-escalation and scenario-based training. And this allows us to do both of those with the virtual reality component of it. TASER is one of the several non-lethal use of force options that we have, and we want to give officers the most options that they can have in order to keep themselves safe and keep the community safe. Some of the decisions in this contract was the TASER 7, moving from the TASER 7 to TASER 10, there was a savings of $57,285 to renew the contract early, and they gave us some credit towards that. And the TASER 10s were actually cheaper than the TASER 7s to renew the TASER 7 contract. It's a 5-year contract which locks in the pricing. It locks in the pricing, and the pricing goes up 8 to 10% a year without a contract. So that's why it's important to have a multi-year contract. The contract includes a lot of equipment with it. It includes all the taser probes that we use. If we use any on the street in a use of force incident, it replaces those for free. There's extended warranties on all the tasers, so if they get damaged, we get them replaced for free. We just send them back to Axon. It also comes with a taser training suit, so we can do scenario-based training with the officers where we actually have someone in the suit and we do training with them. And it's a bundled contract that also includes several instructor certifications so that we can send people to be a taser instructor in order to instruct the officers. And those are normally around $500 per certificate, and that's included in the contract. We purchased additional tasers than our previous contract because in anticipation for the COPS grant and for staffing needs. And sometimes when we have tasers that go down, we have to send them back to the company. We don't get them back for a while, so the officer doesn't have a taser. So we allowed for a couple extras and to outfit the department.
That's really helpful. Thank you, Acting Chief Frischkorn. Any questions or comments from the council regarding the TASER contract that's before us tonight? Councilmember Brown?
So I'm Acting Chief Fishcorn. So I heard you talk about the suits for the training. And my question, so do the officers actually get tasered so that they can, like, tasered and pepper sprayed so that they can understand what the person on the other end is?
No,
going
it's
through?
not a requirement for TASER, but a lot of people do it just so that they can be able to testify how the TASER affects you if someone were to take your TASER. But we do have, when we use the TASER suit, the TASERs use non-conductive wiring, so when you shoot at the TASER suit, it's only for deployment to show where you're shooting, so you're deploying it correctly, but it will not issue an electrical shock. And all those probes, which are training probes, come as part of this contract in addition to the road use cartridges.
Okay, yeah, thanks. And I appreciate you explaining all the other benefits and that come along with this here and the cost savings as well. Yeah, thank you.
And also, council, I'll say if you can spare some time to schedule time to go over and visit Acting Chief Frischkorn, I recommend you go and test it out. I got a chance to do that, and I'm going to keep my stories to myself. I was not deploying them in the proper way. I was just shooting every direction. But it's from a standing or training standpoint, the fact that it's virtual and we weren't wasting cartridges from me just shooting in every direction was very smart. So I can see the benefit when you multiply that out X times of officers and to be able to offer that training. So,
Yeah, thanks, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
So you can get a passing grade.
I did not get a certification, no. I think I'm a long way off from that. Yeah, let's not talk about it. All right, next on the agenda is approval for a service agreement with Bow Collective for a total amount not to exceed $10,000. I'll turn it over to you, Town Administrator.
Okay, I'm on the mic. Hi, Mayor and Council. This one is for we received a grant from FSC First, which is a group that gave us money for economic development. And again, this is part of what Jared has been working on. But the Bow Collective is a group of women entrepreneurs who actually teach skills to other women and minority entrepreneurs, and actually anyone. And they're going to be offering classes to our Bladensburg residents, both online and in person at the library in November and December. And so this allows me to execute that agreement. At first, it was supposed to be $7,500, and it has gone up to $10,000. The costs are fully reimbursable by the grant from FSC First, and I just need the council's approval because it exceeds my authority.
Thank you for that overview. I have to say, this is so timely, given where people are in the economy and with job losses for a variety of reasons, particularly those losing federal government positions and having to become entrepreneurs. And so just looking at the timing of this, I was really excited to read the proposal and just think about how we could really benefit our residents. We'll have to do some creative marketing to get folks out, but this could really be a game changer for people who have lost their jobs and need another opportunity to provide income for their families under the banner of entrepreneurship. So with that, any questions from the council or comments before we move on? I know we're getting close to the end and need to wrap soon. Councilmember Brown.
Thanks, Mayor. How would this be funded?
Through the
We-
FSC
we-
First grant.
Yeah, we received a
Okay.
grant from FSC First for it, and they're reimbursing 100% of the cost. So it's just a pass-through from us to them, for us to the boat collective from FSC First.
Okay, thank you.
And I believe they're a credit union in the county, Councilmember Brown, and they do a lot with minority residents in particular.
And you approved the FSC grant last year, and that we received a partial of funds for it, and we've also given some to Elizabeth Seton High School.
Thank you for that. And then for item O, this is the police department staffing approvals and updates for the COPS grant funding.
I have to take a little bit longer to explain this one because it's actually kind of complicated and it needs to be on the record. And I'll read it again in the council
Should we
meeting.
do it in the 7 o'clock meeting?
That's what I was
then?
going to say. It takes some time, and I will read it into the council meeting, but for a long story short, for the work session, there are 3 council actions that the council will need to take in regards to codifying information for the COPS grant that reflect our current budget status so that we can, if there are vacancies in certain positions, that they can remain vacant for the grant funding so that we are not in violation of the grant funding. So long story short, we need to be able to just kind of state these 3 things and the council approve it, which are 1, that there's a position that will remain vacant that was the captain or major position. Number 2, that there are 2 positions within the department in this fiscal year that were vacated early on in quarter 1. One included a sergeant's position and another was a police officer's position that will be vacant only for FY '26. And then the third one would be the fact that we'd be acting on the fact that there are positions that are funded by the grant, 5 positions that are funded at 38%. So those are the 3 actions that the council will be able to enact, and those notes need to be put into the record along with a copy of the staffing pattern. Yep.
All right, thank you. So we'll revisit this in the next meeting, but thank you for the brief overview. Next is item P, approval to continue health insurance coverage with Care First and broker NFP. Mr. Tinelli, you want to take that one?
Sure. We put an RFP out for 5-year services, broker services for our health insurance, and the current vendor came back with a satisfactory RFP along with renewals for this upcoming renewal year, which starts December 1, 2025. And we're still in a small group, and I'm thankful for that. The increase is over a 10% increase, and we budgeted over 8% increase for the fiscal year. So it's within acceptable range, I could say. And we're starting to see these double-digit increases now, and I've been hearing from the Government Finance Officers Association, these are coming down just because it's the economies right now. Everything's going up, fees are going up, fee for services are going up, and it's going through the health insurance providers.
Great, and I believe this is also on the 7 o'clock meeting?
Correct.
Agenda for tonight, so we can dig in a little bit more there. But the 10%, while it's higher than what we were hoping for, is still within the range from a budgetary perspective. So it's
Acceptable range.
an acceptable range.
Yes, yes.
According to Treasurer Tinelli.
Yes, yeah.
Not for
yeah.
me.
But we also have had vacancies and things come up, so it ebbs and flows, and I think it's going to, we'll make that up this year, that 2%, no matter what.
Okay, that's helpful. And then next is the America in Bloom update, which is information only. We also have the COG information only and LEOPS information only updates. Can we do these in the next 4 minutes? Or, I mean, they're informational. We have the updates in the packet.
That's what I was gonna say, you can, as like, the AIB, the report is attached of the evaluation, and we'll be updating the council as we go through the new year. For the COG, Mayor, you specifically asked for a COG every quarter at least, and so I wanted to make sure that we put this one together. The only big thing that everyone needs to kind of know about COG is that on the public safety side, the Homeland Security funds have been reduced by about 90%. For the whole region. And so that will have a drastic effect in regards to how some of those funds are programmed, but that really kind of comes into play next year because the fiscal year is a little different on federal funding. And the last one is that we have undertaken an evaluation for LEOPS. Mr. Tonelli has submitted, and they have accepted his submission at this point of the information that we have gotten thus far. We do not have a price on how much LEOPS costs. That's what we're waiting for. And once we get that price, we will bring it back to the council in November. But we wanted, from the standpoint of staff, because they want to know what's going on, is the fact and be very transparent that we were able to only submit sworn positions. And that non-sworn positions were not accepted from the police department, and that what we will do is that we will be able to bring the council the costs back. From talking to other municipalities, it's ranging between 27 to 29% for the retirement. I think right now we're paying about 14, 15.
Just about 11%.
11. I was thinking, I think that's like, so 11. So LEOPS is a much more richer plan, but there are some ways that we can talk to LEOPS about how you can cost share that with the beneficiaries and things like that. So some places, they require that you put in 2 or 3% or 4 or 5% yourself. So those are all options that we'll bring back to you, and that's it.
Excellent. Thank you for moving us through the info-only agenda items. With that, council, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember McBride. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. All in favor, let it be known. I'm sorry, Brown. The B's get me. Blunt, Brown, McBride. I do it every meeting. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. We're adjourned, and we'll see you in about 5 minutes. So sorry.
That's okay. I bet you come right back.
Thank you for your support on that. I appreciate that.
He didn't say he supported you, he just said.
He said, yeah.
No, it's a good idea. Anything we can do to
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town Council meeting for Bladensburg, Maryland for Monday, October 20th. We are now called to order. At this time, I would first like to take a moment to just acknowledge we had a horrible tragedy that occurred in town Saturday night. It was a motor vehicle accident that did major harm to pedestrians and unfortunately took the life of Ashley Hernandez Gutierrez. So before we continue on, I just want to ask for a moment of silence for her family and loved ones. Thank you so much. At this time, we'll begin tonight's meeting with opening prayer. Councilmember Dixon, would you mind doing us the honor?
Thank you. Father God, we thank you for your love and your grace and your mercy. God, we thank you that we could be here today. And Father God, as we gather to make decisions, God, I pray that you'll be in the midst of all this decision, oh God. Help us not to compromise our decision that we sit here to do. Father God, remember our residents, our police officers, and also the grieving family this evening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Dixon. At this time, if you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much once again. At this time, we'll move forward with the next item, which is the approval of the meeting agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember McBride. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilmember Dixon. Any corrections or comments regarding the agenda? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Oh, sorry. Town Administrator, I'm moving fast.
Sorry, Mayor, we're asking.
Oh, it's not on. Sorry.
Sorry, Mayor, we were asking to remove an item from the 7 o'clock agenda from the last one. It is item number G, Council Action G, a contract to approve a contract with Fleur de Lis on-call commercial real estate services. As I mentioned in the last item, we are going to get you a new copy of that contract amendment so that you have it. And then we're also asking if you also amend the agenda to get rid of M information only item, LEOPS. Since that was provided as part of the reports by the town administrator, you don't need that one either. So please remove item G and item M from your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you for slowing me down and making those modifications from the work session. So with that, I will call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The agenda is approved. At this time, we'll proceed with presentations. We're very fortunate to have Michael Baird with us from Comptroller Brooke Learman's office and invite you to the podium, sir, for remarks.
All right. How's everybody doing? Excellent. Well, is that okay? Yeah. Wonderful. Well, good evening, Mayor James and members of the Bladensburg Town Council. My name is Michael Baird, and I serve as Comptroller Brooke Learman's Director of Intergovernmental Affairs. Tonight, I want to just take a few minutes to provide a few key updates on initiatives happening within the office. So, starting off, as our Comptroller normally likes to start off, we just want to establish the vision that our agency is guided by. And that is to work in partnership to create a state that is more equitable, more resilient, and more prosperous so that all Marylanders can reach their full potential. And we do that, and we bring that vision to life through three key priorities. One is implementing critical agency-wide improvements to help state government work better. Two, ensuring the resources of the office create opportunities for and make a positive impact on Marylanders' lives in the community, families, and businesses. And number three is ensuring Maryland is well positioned for responsible long-term economic growth and success. So through our agency, we are actively working on modernizing. Since coming into office, we have, the comptroller has launched 70 active modernization efforts. So a lot of them are still in progress, but to highlight a few that have already been created or established, one is Maryland Tax Connect, which is our self-service portal that provides businesses with the ability to file their taxes online. Surprisingly, that really was not a thing available prior to. And then second is adding a customer relation management system that centralizes how we track our interactions with our taxpayers and improve how we deliver support and services. Three is launching a brand new website, which doesn't sound all that great, but it provides a smoother and more efficient way to access the resources of the agency online. If you have seen the previous website, not as great. So hopefully it's a lot smoother these days. And then most recently, last week, we actually launched our new unclaimed properties system, which will make it easier for residents to reclaim their lost assets. The upgraded platform replaces the old mainframe system that had been in use for decades. It now includes a temporary cloud-based system, which allows Marylanders to submit claims online for the first time ever, while also improving processing efficiency and transparency. So moving more into our engagement, the engagement piece of our role here, the comptroller created the Office of Public Engagement, where each of our 5 regional public engagement officers are in the community. They're fostering strategic relationships, partnerships with businesses, faith-based organizations, and civic organizations in every jurisdiction to ensure Marylanders are aware of the resources and opportunities available through our office. Each public engagement officer covers a region and has a statewide focus as well. So whether it's working with our older Marylanders, veterans, college students, the list really does go on. We also have a statewide public engagement officer dedicated to our new Americans and our immigrant community as well. The public engagement team is a great resource for nonprofits and other organizations here in Bladensburg to connect with, whether through tax season or beyond. We hope you take advantage of that resource and would love to make sure I connect you guys with our public engagement officer for Prince George's County when we're done. So moving forward, through our Office of Public Works, Policy, and Investments, our agency has worked to produce a number of data-driven reports. The first of these reports was actually our State of the Economy report, which launched a series of additional reports following. So this June, with everything, of course, going on at the federal level, we worked in partnership with the University of Maryland Robert H. Smith School of Business to produce a report that highlights the economic impact of the federal government here in Maryland. As many know, we have a very strong, tight relationship with federal government here in Maryland, given our proximity to the district. But a few key highlights from that report. At the time of release, the report found that federal government directed about $150 billion in assets to Maryland, and that's through federal wages, retirement income, contracts, grants, and direct spending. That also showed, the report also showed that about 229,000 Marylanders were actually employed by the federal government, whether it's through defense or non-defense civilian workforce, and 54,000 of those 229 actually live here in Prince George's County. We expect a follow-up of this report to be released later this month, which will show a variety of different scenarios. But we also will have an online tool that will be available for our local government partners to be able to interact with and map out the impacts directly to their jurisdictions. So stay tuned for that. The actions of the federal policy decisions including job cuts and funding reductions, have a real impact on everyday Marylanders. Our most recent estimates show that Maryland has lost 15,100 jobs since January. And at our recent September Board of Revenue Estimates meeting, our Bureau's director, Robert Rehrman, shared that federal employment has decreased in Maryland by at least 2,500 jobs in 5 of the previous 6 months. Now, he went on to state that Maryland could see at least 25,000 federal jobs lost if we assume the same rate of loss continuing throughout the year. So that's about 2,500 per month. It's important to note that job losses highlighted at this meeting did not include employees who have lost their jobs after the deferred resignation program, which ended September 30th, or Marylanders who hold federal jobs but are in other states. Not as smooth as you guys. I got to work on this. So the Bureau of Revenue estimates through the release of our 60-day report. So we are required, our office is required to produce a 60-day report anytime there are tax changes at the federal level to identify and analyze the impact. So we analyzed the One Big Beautiful Bill, or that budget reconciliation bill passed in July at the federal level. The report identified provisions in the bill that directly affect Maryland's personal and corporate income tax revenue. The Bureau's report also showed that these provisions, the provisions in the bill rather, are expected to result in a total reduction of $117.9 million during FY 2026 and estimating about $71.4 million during FY 2027, and that's at the state level, of course. The Bureau of Revenue Estimates continues to, of course, monitor the state's economic and tax data changes, so that policymakers, both at the state and local level, can better understand the state's financial position and can use the data to inform future budget decisions. I would also like to note that they do these meetings 3 times a year, one in March, one in September, and then the next one will be in December. So keep an eye out, because that should have a much more clearer picture of some of the impacts. Last week, we actually released our most recent report on housing and the economy, which explores the relationship between domestic migration and housing. So a few key highlights from that report finds that between 2010 and 2023, Maryland lost a total of 2.3 million residents to other states. Now, we also received 2 million residents from other states as well. So we were looking at about a net loss of 300,000 there. What's worth also noting is that a third of that 300,000 were people that moved to Florida, like my parents. So prior to the pandemic, on a net basis, Maryland primarily lost older higher income residents. Since the pandemic, we've seen the net share of younger and lower to middle income residents leaving the state has increased. So, what's really to note here is that naturally, any level of outmigration from our state to others creates a strain on the state's finances. It also results in, of course, loss in tax revenue, both at the state and local level. So, we really want to make sure that we highlighted those in these reports. And these reports really do showcase the comptroller's desire to provide relevant and timely data for Marylanders and policymakers to understand key drivers of Maryland's economic health. I've provided a few one-pagers in your folders, but I also have some for residents here as well. If you'd like to take with you, I'll place those out. But wanted to also just say that you can find the full reports on, if you're interested in reading, on marylandcomptroller.gov/reports. We want to make sure that we provide the one page, which is a quick snapshot, but also provide you access to the full report as well, so you're able to read it. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to share some of the great work that we're doing at the Office of the Comptroller. If you ever need anything from our office, please know that I am a resource, and we look forward to continuing to work with you guys in partnership in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baird, for coming and for those updates. And just really quick, because you mentioned the Bureau of Revenue estimates, which most residents I don't think are
Yeah.
familiar with. Could you explain, one,
Yes.
what that is? I know you quickly said they determine the revenue for the budget,
Yeah.
but who's on it? I know the comptroller is.
So it's actually worth dictating that the Bureau of Revenue Estimates sits within the Office of the Comptroller. So they're essentially a team of economists that help to identify and track and analyze the fiscal health and situation of the state. The Board of Revenue Estimates, which meets 3 times a year, consists of the comptroller, the state treasurer, and the Secretary of Budget and Management.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. We definitely appreciate you coming out. And then one thing I was thinking, Town Administrator, is we may want to, if we don't have it already, link out where we have our representatives on the county, state, and federal level, have the comptroller there with the link to her website. It is so much more user-friendly than it was a few years ago. And I love the reports that are available to us, especially for municipalities, to help us as we're thinking about budgeting for future years. So again, thank you. Please tell Comptroller Learman we appreciate her support, and we're here for her as well when she needs us. Thank you. Next, we will proceed on to the Patriotic Committee update with Ms. Renee Green, who I believe is online. Okay. Over to you, Ms. Green, if you can hear us.
There, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor James, Town Council, and staff and citizens. I'm Renee Green, the Patriotic Coordinator for the town. I just have a couple updates. Veterans Day will be Tuesday, November the 11th at 11 o'clock. We'll need to get a check to the American Legion for, I believe it's the $250. And that's going to be for the lunch. And I also request that we receive receipts from the American Legion for the lunch. The second one is Pearl Harbor Day is going to be Sunday this year, December the 7th. And there'll be a ceremony at 11 o'clock at the Pearl Harbor Memorial. Next year is going to be a big year for us. It's the celebrating the 250th anniversary of the country. And there'll be several events. There's planning going on right now for all the different events that are going to happen next year. So stay tuned to that. That's going to be a very exciting year. So thank you very much. And that's my report for tonight. Wish I was there in person.
So do we, but we appreciate you taking the time to join us online and provide those updates. And we certainly will be looking forward to next month's Veterans Day ceremony, which it's so hard to believe next month is November. It's going fast.
I know.
Have a great rest of your evening, Ms. Green. Thank you. Next, we have the approval of election results, and so we'll begin this segment with the Board of Supervisors of Election reporting out on the results. So, Ms. Watson, did you want to kick it off, or do you want us to turn it over to Mr. Clark, who's here in the audience?
I'm available for whatever you guys decide. I know Mr. Clark is here to present the results, but I can as well. It's up to him.
He's ready and ready to report for duty. Mr. Clark, if you could come up to the podium. He was trying to punt it to you. It's harder when you're not here in person. He's approaching.
He did such a good job. He did such a
I
great
agree,
job.
Ms. Watson. I agree.
If you speak into the mic right there, Mr. Clark, you'll get to make your presentation. Yes, sir. Give me the eye.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're going to have to get a little
Oh,
closer. Like
sorry. Mayor and Town Council, good evening and thank you for the opportunity. Members of the community and members of the council, I also would like to thank you for having me. Okay. Let me get into it. They are not there so often. Okay, my name is Owen Clark, for those who are not acquainted with me. I'm a lifelong member of the community, 30 years plus, and I'm enjoying it. Anyway, I notice it's only 3 minutes I have, so I'm going to get to the point. On the 6th of October, the town council held its elections for the offices of mayor and for Ward 1 and Ward 2 members. The mayor had no obstacles in her way because she had no challenger. So, and the results for the election goes as follows. The mayor, Ms. James, in person, voters were 168, absentee was 14, a total of 182 votes she received. Ward 1, Mr. Bridgman, in person votes 41, absentee votes were 3, total of 44. Ward 2, Ms. McBride, in person votes 32, absentee votes 2. Ms. Tina Brown for Ward 1, in person votes 95, absentee votes 12, total of 107. And Ward 2, Mr. Landers, in person votes 12, absentee 0, total of 12 votes. The winners, like I said earlier, Mayor James had no opposition, so she went back. She was reseated to her position. Ms. Tina Brown, she was also a winner for Ward 1, and Ms. McBride was the winner for Ward 2. And those are the results of the election.
Thank you so
And I
much,
just-
Mr. Clark.
I would like to add to congratulate Ms. Regine for her cooperation throughout the process, and also the members who worked along with her, including myself. We have had a good session, and I think with a little bit more work, well, not work, experience, we might be able to do a better job where the election is concerned. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Clark
you.
and the Board of Supervisors of Elections. Again, this 2025 election went well. I'm very pleased with the with the things that we corrected, the improvements, the new process that we have implemented that will go on in the future. And I think, like Mr. Clark said, we just have a couple of little here and there things to tweak, but everything overall, this was a very good election, and I think nobody can go against the results of this election.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And so I do want to thank Mr. Clark, Ms. Lundy, Ms. Mejia, Ms. Sojourner, and Ms. Saunders, who were a part of the Board of Supervisors or comprised the board, along with, again, Town Clerk Regine Watson. We appreciate all your work. And with the report provided tonight, Council, is there a motion to certify the election results for the 2025 election?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions, Council, before calling the vote? Councilmember Brown?
Yes. You know, I think Mr. Clark as well, but just for the record, it's Trina Brown instead of Tina.
Thank you so much. With that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The election results are certified and approved. Next, we have the regular council meeting minutes from the September 8th, 2025 council meeting. Is there a motion to approve? I know we're flipping there toward the latter portion. For me, it's tab 7. I'm not sure if that's the same for everyone else. Right behind the agenda. Yep.
I looked at them.
Oh, there, yeah, right behind there. Could you try to go a little further? Yes.
The minutes.
Should be further back. With the minutes. Maybe one more. Okay.
I apologize, Mayor and Council. I might have done it in a different order than Jessica usually does it, so I apologize.
No problem. We're just going back and forth. No worries.
Yeah, I put it at the end. She might have put it in the middle. I'm not sure, but I did it in a different order, probably than you guys are used to.
No worries. So, council, is there a motion to approve the September 8th meeting minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember McBride. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any corrections or comments regarding the minutes? Just one note, Town Clerk, on page 2, under New Business, item 8A, I believe it's, where is it? No, sorry, it's item 7, the update that was given regarding the maglev. Just thought it was important to note for the record that the town did oppose the maglev project. And so it's a part of the official minutes. That was the comment I had there. But that was a minor one. And then on the section with staff reports, just above that, on item M for the information memo, it should be adopting, where it says adopt. And then on the next page under council reports, it refers to the Harrison Park, which should be Harrington Park, and then recognize Westmore. Just respectfully, that should be Governor Westmore for his contributions. And I think that was it as far as the things I noticed. Did anyone have any other edits to the minutes? Okay, so with that, I'll call for the vote to approve the minutes. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. Next, we are at the point on the agenda where we get into public comment, where we get to hear from residents. Sorry. I thought it was on,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, my goodness, I did move past it. Thank you. So going back, before we get to public comments, I do apologize. Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you for the recognition of staff.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As I said in the last meeting, it's October, the leaves are falling, and we all think of code enforcement because we want to pick up those leaves. So I wanted to recognize our code enforcement team. I have Mr. Reinhardt today. Would you please come forward? And Mr. Ojua and Kelly, please. I always call you Kelly. I just want to make sure I pronounce your last name correct. Please come up. These are two of our fearless code enforcement officers who we're going to celebrate in October for National Code Enforcement and Code Compliance Month. So would you all like to just say a word or two? Because I'm going to say it, mark it as read.
First off, I want to thank the mayor and council, but I really want to thank Mr. Wade. He can't be here tonight, and Mr. Osuji. If it wasn't for these two gentlemen, they make my job so much easier. So I really appreciate everything they step up and do and help out. But again, thank you for the recognition. And Mr. Osuji, would you like to say anything?
Just thank the town for their support. We'll continue doing the good job. Thank you.
And I'm virtually giving them their flowers, which I will be giving to them at a staff recognition. But thank you for code enforcement for this month. You may both sit down. The other item that is part of the October is Economic Development Week, which is from October 20th to October 24th. I'm going to again note that the reading of these this resolution is read, but what we are trying to do is build up our economic development base. And so this resolution celebrates economic development in the state of Maryland, and especially in Bladensburg. So Mayor and Council, thank you for the time.
Thank you, Town Administrator. And just to echo the sentiment, we do appreciate the work of the Public Works team. You are a very small.
Code enforcement.
Code enforcement, sorry. Code enforcement team, you are a small group of 3, but you're mighty in terms of the impact that you have. And what's also remarkable is the way you're able to cultivate relationships with the residents and business owners and really open up the doors for collaboration, conversation, and times when there needs to be enforcement. So we appreciate that. And Town Administrator, did you want Madam Clerk to read the full resolution into the record, or did you want to do that?
I'll read the titles of both of those into the record, and then because they're posted, as the town attorney has noted, that we can accept them as fully read. So let me read both titles, and I will read the thing. 1 second. I'm getting back to my computer. Got it. I'm okay. I got them up. Oh, Vito, you're gonna beat me at this.
Just in
Okay.
case you need it.
Okay. Yeah, his internet is faster. Okay, I got it. So, Resolution 05-2026, a resolution of the mayor and town council declaring the month of October 2025 as National Code Compliance Month and Code Enforcement Appreciation Month. And just the simple phrase is, whereas the town has, that code enforcement is an essential function that supports the health and safety of the overall vitality of the community. This resolution supports and recognizes our code enforcement team. This 20th day of October, 2025, passed by the mayor and council. If you'd like to, then you can adopt it as a vote, or you can just note it as read.
Yep, we'll go ahead and formalize it with a vote. So council, is there a motion to approve resolution number 05-2026?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember McBride. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any comments or questions regarding the resolution? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The resolution passes. And again, thank you to our code enforcement team.
The second resolution is Resolution 006-2026, a resolution of the Town and Council of Bladensburg declaring and celebrating October 20th through the 25th Economic Development Week in Maryland. Whereas the Town of Bladensburg is an active member of the MDAA, which is the Maryland Development Association, a nonprofit that supports economic development, we'd like to declare this week, which is October 20th through the 24th, Economic Development Week within the state of Maryland. This is ready for your passage and approval.
Thank you so much, Town Administrator. Council, is there a motion to approve resolution number 06-2026?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions regarding the resolution? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The resolution is passed. And now I think we've completed presentations for tonight. So with that, we will move on to public comments. Thank you to our residents who have signed up, and you want to call them out? Okay.
We have two residents for record this evening. The first one is going to be Miss Paula Ayers.
Oh, my. This is a treat. Let me tell you, Ms. Paula is probably the most dedicated volunteer for the Women's Auxiliary for the Volunteer Fire Department. And she has been at it for over 50 years. You're 52 to be exact. And typically, for Women's Auxiliary, you all meet on Monday nights, so you can't be here, but you've changed the meeting, so now she's here for the first time in years. Over to you, Ms. Ayers.
This mic, right, Sean? Nope. Can everybody hear me? I live at 5505 Doris Court, which is next door to the mayor. So I have a few issues with 57th Avenue. When you come out of Doris Court and make your left on 57th, there's 2 parking spaces that are marked no parking. Then there's one in the middle, there's parking. You cannot see around a car when it's there. When Elizabeth Seaton's in session, some of the cars parked there. They're never ticketed, and I've made that complaint to code enforcement. My understanding went to Public Works, but that's been over a year and nothing's been done. That's my number one. Number 2 is the school. When people come out of that school, they're trying to make a left. From 450 all the way down to 57th Avenue, it is bumper to bumper traffic. You can't make a left. There's been accidents after accidents. Kids are walking all over the place after the crossing guard is gone. I think that the school maybe should be contacted and tell everybody to make a right. And the third is the vans that pick up these kids at the high school. They come flying through where we live. Ours is private property. So there's kids out there playing. I have a granddaughter. There's other kids down. They come through Doris. They go down Mary A. Then they swing to Joyce to get to the stop sign to hurry up and go where they're going. And it's really a safety hazard. So I'd like maybe the police department to do something about all this traffic. It's awful. I mean, I belong to the fire department too. So, I mean, it's really a safety hazard. And all these kids walking up and down the street, they walk in front of you when they're out of school. Once the crossing guard's gone, forget it. They're all over the place. So hopefully maybe the police department could do something, and maybe code enforcement in town can make sure when you make that left on 57th, there's no parking there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's her honey-do list. Thank you. We'll start with these 3 for now. Thank you, Ms. Ayers. And our next resident?
Yep. And Mayor, our next resident is going to be Ms. Susan McCutcheon.
Okay. She gets a minute and a half. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Susan McCutcheon, I live on Spring Road. And first of all, I want to say Bladensburg, Saturday was quite eventful. There's Bladensburg Day, which spun off into No Kings with 7 million people out there. But the parade was really good, and the festival was very good. And that's the first time the Ramblers had been in the parade. So I was trying to, I don't know, herd the cats and trying to get them together behind the banner, not in front of it. Okay, guys, you know. But anyway, what are you going to do? But it was really very good. And then I went to No Kings 2.0 and a lot over at Greenbelt. I was not able to make some of the earlier ones, but it was really wonderful to see, I don't know, people in costumes, kids out there dancing and singing, and people. It was quite moving, if you will, the people out there making their voices heard, which leads me to the thoughts about our county. Starting with the county executive's office, and then there's the county council. And as Rachel Maddow would say, watch what they do, not what they say. Because things like the data center, a lot of underneath this and that, different things, the community not being alerted. However, October 25th at 10 a.m. till noon, over at the Prince George's County Sports and Learning Complex. It will actually be a community meeting. It was noted earlier, rightly, by one of the council members that it's kind of on a pause right now. But it's on a pause because word was leaking out, and then all of a sudden a bunch of people showed up and resisted, and then it was like, okay, let's put this on pause and we'll look at it. But just like the maglev issue, behind the scenes, a pause doesn't mean there's nothing happening. A pause does not mean there is not backroom chatting and this kind of thing. And I will tell you, populist and progressive doesn't mean honest and looking out for the people. We heard populist thrown about. Progressive for whom and how is it maneuvered? And when you have people like Dr. Samuel Moki out there being put forward as somebody good for the environment, this kind of thing, that's probably going to go right in despite what people are protesting. It's a deal already. So watch what they do, not what they say. Watch what people do. I'm not saying public servants are bad. They're not. We have a lot of great people. But watch what they're actually doing, and are they communicating with the people? For example, on the data centers, it's like squeaking. It reminds me. It does remind me of the Meg, like, oh, oops, we've got data centers. And it's a big problem nationwide. We've seen last week 5 articles in the Washington Post all about AI, questions about AI, and about the data centers too, and comments about construction and how many jobs, the same kinds of issues. So please take notice, and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
McCutcheon. We appreciate you taking the time to speak. And so this concludes the public comment portion of tonight's agenda. And now we're moving into unfinished business, which is a little bit lengthy, so we'll ask you to bear with us. The first unfinished business item is A, the ordinance 07-2026A, as well as ordinance 07-2026B. So Town Administrator, we will turn that over to you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Over the last 2 months, we provided some information in regards to the town's desire to update its fees and fines. The first one is 07-2026. We're going to call it -A. It's an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the Town of Bladensburg to enact Chapter 9 fees and return check fee and collection fees and other services. And it also authorizes the fee for return checks for services required to collect and of fees and fines owed to the town. I'm going to read this one in full because it's changed a little bit since the other ones, and we've had it posted for about a month. So, whereas, as pursuant to 5-201 in the local government article code, annotated in the Maryland Code of the Town of Bladensburg, hereafter known as the town, has the power to pass an ordinance that it deems necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens and the municipality, and to prevent and remove nuisances. Also, whereas in efficiency to collect fees and fines by the town, it's necessary to institute a return check fee and authorize the fee for the services required for fees and fines in the town. And whereas the council has determined that it's in the public interest to authorize the settlement of an asset assessment for a fee for a return check and authorize the collection services for fees and fines owed to the town. Therefore, let it be it ordained by this act of council to enact Chapter 9 fees, return check fee, and hereby enacted as following. Sorry, I'm trying to change my page electronically. 1, the return check fee may assess a fee to the issuer of a check that is returned unpaid for insufficient funds, and this fee may be approved by council by resolution. So we'll provide you a second resolution in the next agenda. Therefore, be it ordained that fees and fines and services may go into arrangement to collect overdue fees and fines for the town and assess a fee to authorize an assessment for the fee and collection services be approved as a resolution. And be it further resolved and ordained that this shall take effect in 20 days from the date of adoptions, and be it further ordained that any section or subsection and sentence of the clause, phrase, word of this ordinance is therefore for any reason to be held illegal or otherwise invalid by the court, competent jurisdiction, such validity shall be severable, and shall not affect and impair the remaining sections, subsections, provisions, sentence, clause, phrase, word, or word within this ordinance. And if the intent of the town to the remainder of the ordinance shall remain in effect and force and valid and is enforceable. And then this was introduced in September at our last council meeting, and the ordinance will be prominently displayed. And the mayor, town council, we're asking that you would have this at the regular meeting, which is today, October 20th, 2025, and it will be signed by Ms. Watson and the mayor. That is the first ordinance. I wanted to read it into the record because the town attorney advised us that we needed to split these into two different sections. That is section 1. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the council? No?
Okay. So I'll start with section B. So, ordinance 07-2026, section B. An ordinance to the mayor and town council of the town of Bladensburg to amend chapter 112, vehicles and traffic, and amending 11211, payments of fines, fees, and other charges, to institute a flag release, a boot and immobilization fee, and to conform with the practices with respect when a payment of fines and administrative fees are due. Whereas pursuant to 5-201 of the local government article, annotated code of the state of Maryland, the town of Bladensburg, herein known as the town, has the power to pass such an ordinance that it deems necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens for the municipality. Whereas the Transportation Code, annotated code, and amended, authorizes the town to regulate traffic and parking and to issue citations for traffic and parking violations. And whereas the council has adopted Chapter 12, Vehicle and Traffic, to regulate traffic and parking in the town. And whereas the mayor and town council have deemed it in the public interest to amend Chapter 12, Vehicle and Traffic, to institute a flag release, boot immobilization fees, and others to conform to the practice in respect to the payment of fees and fines. Now, therefore, it be resolved, ordained, and acted by the town council of the mayor and council of Bladensburg that Chapter 112, Vehicle and Traffic, and Chapter 112-11, Payment of Fines, be hereby replaced and amended as follows. Payment of fines and fees. Penalties and administrative fees may be set by resolution by the town council. B, fines and administrative fees may be before the required date on the citation notice. If a payment is not received on or before the date required, and then there's a strikeout, because it's striking out 15 days within a warning period, 30 days, for parking citations, it will double, which is what we mentioned before. And vehicles which are impounded, attached, will be released until the fees and administrative fees and other related expenses are paid. A vehicle registered in the state of Maryland is subject to the state's flagging program for all unpaid fees and expenses paid. A fee is required to be paid to the town to release the registration flag. A fee may be assessed for the owner for any vehicle that is boot or immobilized for failure to pay outstanding traffic violations. And be it further resolved that with this ordinance, it will take effect in 20 days from the adoption, and be it further resolved that any section, subsection, sentence, clause, phrase, word, or of this ordinance, for any reason, shall not be held illegal or otherwise invalid by the court or competent jurisdiction. Such validity shall be severable and shall not affect and impair the remaining sections, subsections, purposes, sentence, clause, phrase, or any included within the ordinance. It is being, in the intent of the town, the remainder of the ordinance shall be remain enforced and valid and enforceable. Introduced September 2025 and adopted today, October 20th, 2025. Witnesses will be the town clerk, signed by the mayor.
Thank you, Town Administrator, for reading both ordinances. Council, based on the information provided, is there a motion to adopt Ordinance 07-2026A?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions regarding the ordinance? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The ordinance passes. Council, is there a motion to approve Ordinance 07-2026B?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Dixon. Any comments or questions regarding the the ordinance? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it, the ordinance is approved and shall both take effect 20 days from today. Next on the agenda, we are under new business, and first on the list is ordinance number 08-2026. This is regarding codifying the public process for the FY 2027 budget planning. So Town Administrator and Mr. Tonelli, will turn it over to you.
I'll go ahead and take this one. Give Town Administrator Michelle a break. This is similar to what Town Administrator brought to the Mayor and Council last year. This codifies the dates for the planning and adoption of the FY 27 budget and the budget process, hearings and everything else. We discussed the dates at the work session, and those are listed here as an attachment, and this will be the first read of the ordinance tonight, and if approved, there'll be for a second read and final passage at the November meeting. So if it's okay, I can just go ahead and read a summary of the ordinance.
That would be perfect.
Okay, so ordinance number 08-2026, an ordinance to enact the fiscal year 27 budget process and codify the town council and public participation process. Whereas the town of Bladensburg operates on an annual budget cycle that includes public engagement, review, and approval of its financial plans for the upcoming fiscal year. And whereas the town intends to formalize and streamline the budget process by enacting an ordinance that codifies the involvement of the town council and the public, providing clear timelines and processes for the review and adoption of the fiscal year 27 budget. And whereas the town administrator is committed in presenting the structured budget schedule to enhance transparency, address budgetary concerns early, and ensure that the town's financial planning is comprehensive and efficient. And what follows is the budget process and timeline, which we discussed during the work session. And as I said, the effective date shall take place within 20 days after its passage, assuming it's passed on the first read tonight, and second passage will be at the November Mayor and Council meeting.
Thank you for that, Mr. Tonelli. So again, the second reading will be at the November meeting, and then at that time, the council can vote to proceed with this particular plan. Any questions or comments from the council regarding ordinance 08-2026? All right, we'll move on to ordinance 09-2026. This is a budget amendment, so we can get these vehicles out of our parking lot, outfitted, and in the hands of our beloved officers. So Acting Chief, will turn it over to you.
So like I said earlier, these vehicles have been ordered and sitting for a while, and this is just to have the funds to have them all outfitted so that we can distribute them to the officers. The vehicles do us no good if they're just sitting in the parking lot. And this is something that has affect morale with the police department and our fleet. We want to improve our fleet. We have mechanical problems, and we really need these vehicles in service.
Thank you, Acting Chief Frischkorn, and just appreciate that. For the public who weren't part of the work session, the funding was approved and in the FY 2025 budget, and for some reason, the work wasn't able to be done. So we are just doing this budget adjustment to put the funds in the FY 2026 budget, and then also add a line item for the expenses in the same amount, which is $545,036. With that, council, is there a motion to approve ordinance 09-2026? Oh, wait, sorry, let me pull that back. We didn't read it or do the abbreviated version. Sorry, I'm rolling because I'm looking at the time.
That's fine, Mayor. I'll go ahead and read an abbreviated version based on that great explanation from Acting Chief here. So ordinance number 09-2026, an emergency ordinance to amend the operating budget of the town of Bladensburg for the FY 26 fiscal year. The mayor and council of the town of Bladensburg have determined that it is in best interest of the town to pass this budget amendment ordinance on today, October 20, 2025, to increase under to increase capital expenditures by $77,545 for expenses associated with the upfitting of 4 public safety vehicles, and to increase the transfer from automated enforcement revenues for the same amount of $77,545 to offset the expenses for the upfitting. The overall budget impact is $77,545. As the mayor said, that was because there's money unspent in the FY26, but FY25 budget, and got forwarded to this year's budget. So, and be it further enacted and ordained through the Charter of the Town of Bladensburg by order of the mayor and council and town clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. Is there a motion to approve emergency ordinance 09-2026?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember McBride. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any comments or questions regarding the ordinance? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. I'm going to sign up for the first ride along when those pickups come back. I want to get them out on the road. Thank you again, Acting Chief Frischkorn. Next, we will assess ordinance 10-2026. Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Council. This is an ordinance 10-2026 for the fiscal year budget 2026, an amendment that is related to MNPCCC FY26 project charge program funding for community programming expenses for the amount of $50,000. This is an emergency ordinance to amend the operating budget of the town for the fiscal year 2026 from July 1st to through June 30th, 2026. It'll be resolved by the council that there'll be an increase in funding from county project charge proceeds for $50,000 for the use of the town to support community program and quality of life items. There'll be an increase in community initiative expenses by $50,000 for expenses associated with funds to support community program and quality of life items. And then the last thing is that it'll authorize the town administrator to execute the related contracts, agreements, and for the FY 2026 project charge program and support the community programming and quality of life items. The overall budget impact is 0. This item will be enacted and ordained by the council upon passage for today, October 20th, 2025.
Thank you, Madam Town Administrator. Council, is there a motion to approve ordinance 10-2026? Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any questions regarding the ordinance or comments before we vote? Hearing none. Yes.
Just real quick. So, Mrs. Bailey Hedgepath, so this is contractual agreements, not grants, right? That's the one that's not
That's the
grants,
one.
right?
Yes, ma'am, it's not a grant, it's project charge.
So what that means for our residents, as we said in the work session, is we have to spend the $50,000 or up to that amount, and the MNC PPC will reimburse us for those funds.
And it has to be spent on the supported, aligned, well, whatever we spend it on has to align with the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning's mission.
Correct.
That's correct, ma'am.
Any other questions? Yes, Councilmember Dixon.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I want to say it's a great opportunity to enhance the community with this fund, but I do have like one question. Can these funds also support youth focused and the senior wellness program?
Yes, ma'am. Those are the type of programs that should be eligible and are programs that we will be submitting for project charge funds.
So it's not limited to the recreational activities?
No, it is not. As long as it meets the purpose of the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Parks Department, it will be, so senior and youth and all those kinds of fun, there are things that are part of their goals.
Thank you. Back to you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. With that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The ordinance has passed. Next is Resolution 03-2026. This is regarding a watershed assistance grant program with Chesapeake Bay Trust. Town Administrator, will turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I was a beat behind you. So this is Resolution 03-2026, a resolution authorizing the town administrator to apply for Chesapeake Bay CPT funds on behalf of the town for the Watershed Assistance Grant Program, an amount to not to exceed $100,000. The town has applied for this grant funding before. The application is essentially moving forward with the design products to restore the bay and improve the overall water quality of the town of Bladensburg. What we're asking for is the town's approval so that we can move forward on this grant application, and a copy of this a copy of this resolution will be attached. So I'm asking the town council to approve the resolution as read and as written for 03-2026.
Thank you so much. And given we discussed this a bit in the work session, I'll go ahead and call for a vote to approve resolution number 03-2026. Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. And again, as we discussed in the work session, we've already have ideas in mind in terms of where this can be impactful in Ward 1 particularly because of the flooding issues in the business area. So we'll obviously provide more information on that as we move forward. I'll now call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Next is Resolution 04-2026. This is for CDBG funding for PY 52. We're all going to knock on wood because we've been on a roll here. Town Administrator and Madam Clerk, I'll turn it over to you.
This is a resolution, and I'll let Madam Clerk discuss a little bit more about the project. I'm just going to read it into the record, Madam Clerk. A resolution authorizing the town administrator to apply to Prince George's County Housing and Development on behalf of the town of Bladensburg for community block grants for fiscal year or PY year, program year 52 for infrastructure projects. The town of whereas the town of Bladensburg and the town council have approved submitting this application in the past to DCHD. We are asking for your approval again for PY 52 for similar projects. Ms. Watson can maybe provide additional information. I'm done with the read-in. I'm asking for the approval of, again, 04-2026. I need my readers on with this, sorry. And so, thank you.
No, Mayor and Council, we just wanted to add that in PY 51, Supervisor Hall and I, we've done very well with this CBG grant and going out and getting RFPs and being able to really use all the funds that we've been given. We're looking forward to applying for PY 52 and also being able to get those funds and using it to improve the town of Bladensburg. As Michelle mentioned earlier in the work session, we're at 75-80% done with the work, and we're looking forward to getting 100% completion and having a report, and that we can look forward to saying, hey, these are done, our streets are looking better, and looking at ways that we can use these funds for other improvements somewhere else.
That's great. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And again, we appreciate your hard work along with Supervisor Hall on the funding that we've been getting from CDBG, working with the engineers and contractors to move them along. The efficiency that you guys have shown is tremendous because I think it was the last cycle where we had enough left over that we could do some additional work. And so just having that sort of foresight and negotiation skills has really been a benefit to the town. So with that, Council, I would ask for a motion to approve Resolution 04-2026.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions regarding the resolution? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. The next item, let's see, this is for November, the ambulance staffing stipend.
Yeah, Mayor, I was
So-
going to ask if you continue that to November unless the council wants to discuss it further in this session.
Agreed, yes. So we did talk about moving that to November. And then same thing for the commercial real estate services. That brings us up to approval for contract with consulting specifically for economic development support, and the staff recommendation is JH Consulting. Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, Mayor, Council. This is a council approval for a contract with JH Consulting. In the last session, there were some questions that were asked in regards to the comparison of costs between JH Consulting and other vendors. When we mentioned the issue that we found is that I am tongue-tied. I'm tired. I'm starting to fade. So the differences between the contracts were the number of hours that were offered as part of the contract and the hourly cost. I think the question that was asked was that with JH Consulting, there's a flat fee of $27.50 per month, and we have been able to utilize more than 25 hours per month, and there's not a cap on our hours. Whereas when we looked and evaluated the other participants of the bid, they had a set cap, and after that point, there was an hourly amount. We interviewed three finalists, and we found that JH Consulting met our needs, and he is also the incumbent who has transferred from another company. Mr. Hawkins has worked with the town for the last 2 years as our economic development manager on a part-time basis, and to be honest with you, we've been able to call him at any time of the day to get information any day of the week to set up meetings. So he's been very flexible. And that's the reason why staff is making the recommendation for JH Consulting of the firms that were interviewed and reviewed as part of this RFP process. Thank you.
Thank you, Town Administrator, for that overview. Council, with that, I would ask for a motion to approve the contract with JH Consulting Services for economic development support. Is there a motion? Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
I have a question. Was that one?
We have to move it past the first and the second, and then we'll put it
Okay.
on for discussion. Yes, ma'am.
So,
Seconded?
second.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember McBride. We're all tired, don't worry. Okay, now for discussion, Councilmember McBride has a question. It's been a long day for several folks, don't worry. Any other comments or questions from the council? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, we are moving on to discussion regarding the tasers, which Acting Chief Frischkorn briefed us on in the work session. Acting Chief Frischkorn, any other information you want to provide or a quick summary before the council puts this up for a vote?
I can do a quick summary of what I spoke about earlier. So this is basically moving from one platform of TASER to another, a newer version. There's a lot of benefits to it. It comes with a virtual reality component that allows the police department to adhere to current Maryland law under the public safety article for de-escalation and scenario-based training. It comes with a bundle in the contract that covers any of the probes that we use for the TASER, there's extended warranty on the TASER, the batteries, the equipment. We get a TASER suit that we can use for scenario-based training. This helps to reduce liability for the town because the virtual reality system that we use with the TASER 10, that helps the officers be more accurate with the TASER and be able to de-escalate and handle situations. The TASER is very important to us in that that's another less lethal force option that the police department has, and I'd like our officers to be equipped with the most current version. And there's a lot of additional capabilities that the TASER 10 has that the TASER 7 doesn't have. And just as far as the contract, we received a better contract than if it was under state contracting, and there was a savings of $57,285. And this is a 5-year contract, which locks in the pricing. The pricing typically goes up 8 to 10% each year without a signed contract. That's all I have.
Thank you for that summary. You said that's all I have, like that was nothing. We appreciate the summary and encourage residents to review the work session if you'd like more information. At this time, council, is there a motion to approve the TASER contract with Axon Enterprises.
So move.
Moved by Councilmember McBride. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any questions or comments for Acting Chief Frischkorn before we call the vote?
Yes. Acting Chief Fishcorn, as I stated earlier, the training suit and whether or not the officers actually have to be tased as a part of the training.
No, that's not a requirement as part of the training. The suit, when you use the suit, there's non-conductive wiring that are used in the probes. They're special for the suit so that when you use them, there's no electrical shock that the officers get. It's merely for placement of the probes to make sure they're aiming the device properly and utilizing it properly.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The motion passes and the contract is approved. Next, we have the approval of services with BOW Collective for a total amount not to exceed $10,000. Town Administrator will turn it over to you for a brief summary.
Okay, sorry, I'm tired. Be looking at. Mayor Council, so this is an agreement with the Bow Collective in amount to not exceed $10,000. This is a female nonprofit that is working to empower women and others in entrepreneurship. The cost for this training is covered by a grant from the FSC First, and the reason why it's being brought to council because $10,000 exceeds my limit to enter into a contract. It's fully funded by FSC First, and I'm asking the council to be able to sign this contract so that we can move this forward this fall/winter.
Thank you, Town Administrator. I'm really excited about this opportunity to help women entrepreneurs, particularly because we're an all-women council. I think that is a very good initiative for us to be putting forth at this time, especially given economic uncertainty for many of our residents, given federal government cuts and other economic conditions. Some of them are being forced to be creative and start a business in this climate. So with that, Council, I would ask for a motion to authorize the Town Administrator to enter into a contract with BOW Collective for a total not to exceed $10,000.
So move.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions from the council before we call the vote?
Just to be clear, did you say it was a grant?
Is your mic on? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It's a grant that we received from FSC First. They are a local nonprofit that gives grants for various economic development projects. And actually, this is something that Mr. Hawkins brought to the town. So yes, it's completely paid for by the grant.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All those in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Next, we have Police Department staffing approvals and updates for the COPS grant funding. So I imagine this is a combo?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me, sorry, I'm stuck looking at my phone. I'm sorry. All right, so, okay. Let me start from the beginning. So the town received money for a COPS grant, which is a grant that the council approved last year in FY 2025. Part of the COPS grant is the fact that it adds and augments staffing to our existing base. So we received funding for 5 additional officers. As part of the budget last year, we were going to try to add at least 1 officer last year, which we did not have the funds to do. And we are continuing to pretty much hold off on adding new officers until we can get into a better fiscal situation. Well, as part of this, the grant manager, Mr. O'Connor, wants us to start to codify what our thought process is in a council meeting. So I'm going to read this item to you a little bit so that I can provide it on the record, because part of this is about the minutes and the record. So I'm going to kind of put that so that I can try to give you a little bit more of so the item is kind of lengthy.
And Town Administrator, I think it's also for reporting purposes. Because
Correct.
the federal government needs to see progress.
Yes.
In this regard, so the funding isn't approved. So it's for all those purposes.
That's exactly. So, town staff is going to recommend the approval of the frozen positions funded staffing changes consistent with the FY26 budget in recognition of the slowing economic conditions. These modifications to the town police department and staffing are going to be codified by council. The following updates are going to be associated with the COPS grant. Number one, the deletion and freezing of the deputy chief or major position. This will remove and freeze this position from the town staffing pattern for FY26 through FY28. Secondarily, the freezing of vacant positions to maintain the freeze of one police officer and one sergeant that were vacated in Q1 for just fiscal year 2026. The addition of 5 officers' positions COPS grant funded. Adding 5 police officers supported by the COPS grant as approved by the town council in FY25 to the staffing pattern of the town of Bladensburg. These positions are federally funded at approximately 38% through the Department of Justice and will be filled incrementally over the fiscal years 2026 through 2028, if possible, in 2028. The town council will approve these changes through annual budget process and budget adjustments as funds are available. So again, this allows you to add them as you need to, but it puts this on the record. The town, again, when we received the community-oriented COPS grant, we received an award of 1.625, which is approximately, of which approximately 625 is reimbursable. This item reflects the budgetary and staffing necessary to implement the grant and the structure. Again, what we want to put on the record is that we want to make these changes, and this is the part in bold. These changes are being implemented to highlight the fiscal and budgetary constraints of the town due to worsening economic conditions and conditions that are anticipated to affect after the October 2025 federal shutdown and on the local economy. So basically, what we want to kind of cite is that we know that the shutdown has happened. It's going to have long-lasting effects on the economy, and we don't know what those are. So what we want to do is, in some ways, put this on the record for the town council. We furthermore want to, again, note those frozen positions, note the positions that are currently vacant that are being frozen for 26, and then the fact that we have an attachment, which is the org chart that shows all of the funded positions that we have. We also are showing that we've lost 2 officers through attrition, but that those positions are vacant. They've been recently vacant in September and October, but that we would refill those positions. So I want to make sure that I'm being really transparent with all these things. We're not saying that all vacant positions are frozen. We're not saying that we're really basically saying there's certain positions, which are the deputy chief position and the 2 positions that were vacated in Q1, but they're only frozen for 26. The vacancies that are occurring now are vacant, but they will be filled, and the 5 positions that are the COPS grants will be filled as the council approves them. I just want to make sure that that's clear, and those are what our consultant or our grant consultant has asked us to put onto the record. So the council action would be confirming the information that I've provided today to the council, and us codifying that in our minutes and adding this piece of information to our file for the COPS grant.
Great, thank you, Town Administrator. Are there any questions for the council before we move to a vote? All right, so is there a motion to accept the staff recommendation for approval of the frozen positions of the deputy chief and the 2 officer positions as identified here in the summary, along with approval for funding the staffing positions under the COPS grant consistent with FY 2026 budget in recognition of slowing economic conditions. Is there a motion? Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any further comments or questions for Town Administrator? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Turn on? Aye. Okay. All right, the ayes have it. The motion passes. Next is the item concerning the town's health insurance coverage as well as the recommended broker services. Town Treasurer Tonelli, we will turn it over to you to give the Town Administrator a break.
Regine, you want me to take this? I can go ahead and do it. We put an RFP out for the broker services and also for the health insurance quotes for the upcoming year. And we received proposals back from our current vendor along with some others. And I'm trying to pull these up right now. Regine, do you have these in front of you? One second.
I do.
Yeah.
I do have it in front of me. So we had two companies. Our NFP was one of them. And I thought I had it up. And then Surety was the second, sorry. Did you want me to finish, Vito?
Yeah, please. I'm sorry, I lost
No
mine.
worries. No worries. So we had two people, two brokers that answered the RFP. Because of timing, we did continue with our current broker, our NFP, who did actually give us a full bid that included the proposal with the health insurance proposals for this upcoming enrollment period. As Vito mentioned earlier in the work session, there was an increase, but we did budget for an increase. So we are approving for the Care First and NFP to be the renewal company that we use in the broker. So I'm sorry, the anticipated increase we expected was 8.5. However, the price came up to about 10.7 in increase. And as Vito said, this is something that we know is happening in the world that we are right now. So we're not surprised that it's a 2% increase, but we're comfortable with the increase now. There will be no changes to the current plan right now to the employees or anybody currently. And so staff recommends that we go back with Care First as well as NFP as our broker for the next 5 years.
That's helpful. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Council, do you have any questions for either Madam Clerk Watson or Town Administrator, Town Treasurer Tonelli? Running it all together. All right, so with that, is there a motion to approve authorizing staff to enter into a contract with broker services with NFP?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Dixon. Any comments or questions for staff regarding this? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. The next item was moved since we handled that informational update in the previous meeting. So we are now at the time of staff reports, beginning with Treasurer Tonelli.
Oh, I need to put myself together.
We are moving right along here. I have attached report for the first quarter, and it's in, yeah, and it's in there for your review. Couple quick highlights. We received the first installment of our property taxes collected by the county. It was $3.7 million, which is the highest collection that we've ever received, and that is not based on taxes, but is based on tax rate, I should say, is based on accelerated payments. So either mortgage companies or everybody has accelerated their their first half of their payment, and it came through a lot quicker than I've ever seen in the years I've been here. So that certainly does help cash flow. And also attached in my report, the highway user report I submitted to the state. And just some quick figures there, we have an ending balance of reserves of $423,000. As Town Administrator Michelle said during the work session, we're fortunate that we have this CDBG funding to construct for funds to construct our roads, sidings, sidewalks, and curbing. So it takes the pressure off having to rely solely on the HUR money. And we also attached is we received a extension for the annual audit to the end of this calendar year to December 31, 2025. And that's just timing, so we can bring it to the mayor and council at the December meeting for approval. And then it gets submitted to the state. Upcoming event, have the Maryland Government Finance Officers Quarterly Conference this Friday, and I'm mainly going because of what we heard earlier for the Board of Revenue estimates to see what is in the, what do you call? Yes, thank you. I just can't, I was trying to make a statement with a crystal ball, I think, So it's getting late.
Mr. Baird, can you confirm there's a crystal ball in the comptroller's office?
It's still cloudy, we're trying, it's like, yeah, yeah. Ask again, but that's all I have for the mayor and council, so, and for the public, and again, it is in the, it's attached.
Wow, Vito finished before 3 minutes, everybody. Thank you, sir. Next, we'll turn it over to Acting Chief Frischkorn for the Public Safety Report.
The only update that I have is this weekend, we had a major traffic accident with mass casualties. We had the press release at the press conference this morning. It was in the 4100 block of 56th Avenue, and there was one fatality. It involved 8 children, 14 people injured. That was handled collaboratively with all the different sections of the department. We were able to quickly identify the person that was responsible and take them into custody. All that information was provided in updates on press releases. That's the only information that I have for an update.
Thank you, Acting Chief Frischkorn. It's amazing how you summarize like almost 48 hours of nonstop work in about 2 minutes. I mean, from 10:15 when this happened, the PD's been working on this nonstop with very little sleep, trying to move this case forward and make sure that the suspect didn't go unfound for too long. And so the fact that you had someone in custody in less than 48 hours later is just remarkable. So we really appreciate your leadership in guiding us through this. The handling of the press conference was so well done between you and PIO Officer Green. We just can't thank you enough. And to the officers who responded on the scene Saturday night, our hearts go out to them, and just gratitude for how they jumped in to help, immediately trying to lift the vehicle, just doing all the stuff to help render aid to the victims. And so please extend our gratitude to each of them, and I think we owe them a huge round of applause for all that they've done. So with that, Acting Chief, on a totally unrelated topic, normally the PD will report out on upcoming events. I think you have some big thing happening next week for children in costumes or something. Some kind of shindig.
Yeah, we have the trunk or treat coming up. I don't have the exact date of that. And then we also have what they mentioned earlier about the Veterans Day. I'm sorry, the 30th is trunk or treat. And then the Veterans Day coming up, and then in December, what they mentioned earlier, the Pearl Harbor Day. Tomorrow, we also have an event in Elizabeth Seton in the evening.
Thank you for that reminder about Seton tomorrow evening. Appreciate that. Okay, thank you so much, Acting Chief Frischkorn. Next, we'll turn it over to Code Enforcement.
And it is going to be the 30th at the community center. So just to make sure that
Oh,
everybody
okay.
knows the location where the trunk or treat's going to be at. Update from code enforcement. We actually had a strange call this year. Strange call this past month. We got requested by the Department of Natural Resources to go over to the Bladenwood condominiums to assist them locate a rabbit fox. We were able to locate the rabbit fox with Department of Natural Resources, and it was euthanized on site.
Wow.
Other than that, we've had an uptick in signs on telephone poles this month. If you do see anybody putting signs up on telephone poles, please just get a tag number so we can do the investigation. Because it seems like a lot of times we're taking them down, we go around the block, and they're right back up. And again, just also a reminder, there are still a few election signs out. I just want to remind whoever has election signs out just to please get them down also. And just going to keep it at that. If there's any mayor and council have any questions, or please feel free to reach out to us. And again, thank you guys for recognizing our staff and myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Reinhardt. We appreciate those updates. Next, we'll turn it over to Madam Clerk, Regine Watson.
Yes, Mayor. Just quickly, I'm going to be very quick with my report. It is online. I just really want to thank Ray for his help. We talked about election a lot, but he really helped me. I couldn't have done it without him getting up early. I just wanted to thank him for that, and also his hard work on Bladensburg Day. Everything else in my report is online just to save time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Watson, and we echo those sentiments of gratitude to Mr. Jeffries. Next, we'll turn it over to the town administrator. Mr. Hall's report is in the packet.
I was
but
gonna-
Did you want to mention anything?
Yeah, that's what I was
for
going to
him?
do, is mention his
Okay.
report. So thank you, Mayor. So what Vito, I think, point out the biggest highlight is that due to critter activity, the Public Works has repaired several holes in the Bostwick house. And we just like that line, due to critter activity. But what I'd like to
I
say.
did want to know which critters, because I'm hoping it's raccoons and not other critters.
It's raccoons and beavers and all sorts of critters with big teeth, because they are chewing through everything. So I'd say, but I would like to say that Mr. Hall's team has done a really good job. And the one thing I really want to highlight are the new blue trash cans that you might be seeing around town. We bought about 8 or 9 of them, and they've been implemented on to try to combat litter around the town. And then they also worked in regards to to cleaning out some of the drains, the catch basins and drainage during the recent heavy rains. The one thing that we're going to be doing next weekend, which is on the 25th, is the Clean, Green, and Elevate. So we're going to be doing plantings around town, and we're going to put in some bulbs for the spring. So it's sort of like that spring forward. We're trying to get them in now so that we can have some volunteers. So it's on the 25th, which is Saturday, here at Town Hall from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're going to get out quick, do some planting, and get back out and have the rest of our lives back to us. But I'll be here with Public Works, and we'll be out planting and greening and cleaning and elevating along with the Prince George's County as we green, clean, and elevate. All right.
Did you put that on a T-shirt? My goodness. Okay. Thank you. That completes the staff reports, and now we'll turn it over to the council for reports, beginning with Ward 1, Councilmember Brown.
Thanks, Mayor. Well, I would like to just commend the staff, the clerk, code enforcement, police, front office, because this election, I'm very well pleased with the election and all of the work with the board of supervisors of the election as well, all of the dedication, hard work that you all put into making sure that the town of Bladensburg's election day was very much improved as it has been in the past. So I want to thank you all for that. I want to thank the residents, for coming out and voting and reelecting me to serve you all another 4 years. And I don't take that, light to heart. So I want to thank you all so very much for reelecting me to serve and to serve with this great council here, this mayor and council as well. This role leading up to the election, because it was I did have an opponent. So I did attend some events, the domestic awareness event. I attended that. Also, Unity on the Bridge in Edmonston. I attended that, and a host of other events. But I just want to say that I am excited to be back. Once again, thanks to all the hard work with our front office staff. And I just really look forward to continuing in the trenches and serving the community and serving the residents, continuing to make this a place where people who just want to live, work, and grow here. So once again, thank you all. Look forward to serving again for another 4 years. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Brown, for your report. Next, we'll turn it over to Councilmember Kalisha Dixon.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I just want to extend my congratulations to Councilmember Brown, Councilmember McBride, and of course, our mayor for being re-elected. I just want you to know I appreciate the council. So thank you again for being here. I want to say thank you to the staff here at the town of Bladensburg, Michelle, Latia, Regine, our clerk, Jessica Ray, of course, Tina, and the one who gave us the number, Mr. Vito. Thank you so much. Thank you to the police department for always giving your 100% to the community. We appreciate you. Of course, court enforcement and public work. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your dedication. Thanks to the residents who actually, it's because of the residents why we're here. And so we want to thank you so much, as Councilmember Brown stated. I also want to say, in regards to Saturday, my heart and prayers go out to the family who lost their loved one and to all those injured in the tragic accident here in our town. We're praying for you, and we know it's a sad time right now, but just know that the council is here for you. I attended the COG meeting, CFR state and local official webinar, MML conference, PGCME meeting, and also Unity on the Bridge at the town of Edmonston. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Dixon. Love the applause. Thank you.
Yes.
Next, we'll turn it over to Councilmember McBride for Ward 2.
Good evening, everyone. Grateful to be here. I want to thank everyone, first of all, for the election committee, all the hard work that you put together. And thanks most of all for the public for re-electing me back as council member. I'm grateful. Didn't think I would be here, but I'm very grateful. So thank you very much. I would like to say that I haven't been to a lot of events, but I've been to our community meetings that have been held on Saturdays. And this last meeting, it was very effective. A few residents came in, and also Senator Augustine came in with the new representative from the Parks and Rec Department. And so we met her, and so we look forward to working with her soon on some events. But I appreciate our residents coming in because they gave out some definite information for us to think about and working with our community. And I was very appreciative, so it was an eye-opener. It was some older residents from Ward 1, but I appreciate them. And it makes us want to think a little more on what we need to do or what we are doing in Bladensburg and how we can become more effective. I did attend the MML conference, and I want to say I'm thankful that I have one class and I will be graduating. So thank you, Town of Bladensburg, for all the tools that you've given me to work with to better myself as a council member. And that right there is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember McBride, for your report. And 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so in the month of September, I also joined members of the council for the county executive's visit to District 47, hosted by Senator Augustine. We met with her, had the opportunity to meet some of her leadership in terms of directors or DCAOs for the various agencies in the county, which is super important for us to know who to go to for whatever issues we have, given the changing of administration. I also attended the MML board retreat, which was held at the National League of Cities headquarters in Washington, D.C. We are, under MML, a member of NLC because of the size of our town. I think our membership is free. But the director for federal advocacy gave some federal policy updates. And so this is in the written report, which I believe is online, but it's no surprise that we'll receive likely reduced or either flat funding for federal government programs, which are vital to local communities such as ours. There's an approaching deadline. This was for September, so I think the deadline has passed for the National Defense Authorization Act, which also had some funding in there that was relevant for municipalities. Additionally, on the federal transportation funding, which was authorized by the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the funding is set to expire next year, so NLC is working to secure continued access to that funding for local governments, because when you think about Quincy Avenue or Quincy Street, projects like that really are reliant on this federal funding. They talked a bit about the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and impacts to municipalities, which I think we're mostly familiar with. Also, the Road to Housing Act, we had an update on the FEMA Act of 2025, which is critical for us in Maryland because Western Maryland was devastated with flooding earlier this year, and they're still fighting to get funding from the federal government for that. We had representatives from the Trump administration there, so I was able to ask them directly to help support those communities in Western Maryland who are still reeling from the flood damage. We'll see how that goes. And also on my to-do list is to follow up with them regarding our flood mitigation project, because the funding source, while the county is putting in 1.5 million, we've put in 500,000. We're relying on that funding stream for the balance from the federal government. So that FEMA grant is critically important. So again, I'll be following up with them on that. It was noted earlier, there was the Stop the Maglev celebration. We're hoping that's truly the case, but wanted to take the time to join with other community leaders and elected officials to acknowledge the efforts of our advocacy and eliminating that project, hopefully for good from our communities. So I've got 5 seconds. I'm going to stop there. The last thing I'll say is, again, as we stated in the press conference today, our hearts are just so heavy for the family impacted by the accident that occurred on Saturday night, October the 18th. And the council is committed to being a resource to the families that were impacted, not just now, but as they move forward and try to heal from this tragedy. And so we will be in touch with them. This is not a one-time thing where they won't hear from us again. And we're committed to doing that because Bladensburg cares. And so with that, I will call for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. We're adjourned. Good night, everybody.
You'll learn. No, you're gonna have a bunch more, don't worry about it.